Chapter 854. Su Peijian was silent and let the elevator take them upstairs. After getting out of the elevator, entering the door, and closing the door, she finally had time to look at Ling Jing. Her eyes were probing, sizing, and a little thoughtful. Ling Jing, who are you? I'm Ling Jing. Ling Jing took a step forward and opened his hands, as if to hug her. No, it felt wrong. Su Peijian frowned slightly, but Ling Jing stepped forward and hugged her tightly. I feel so bad today. He hugged her tightly, and his masculine scent hit her face. I failed the interview today. You didn't even comfort me. Su Peijian was stunned and looked up at him. What did you say? I said, I failed the interview today, and you didn't even comfort me. His aggrieved tone made Su Peijian feel a little better. Interview? He seemed to have said it just now, but she felt that something was wrong. I went for the interview today, but I didn't succeed. Why didn't you tell me before? I thought if I could succeed, wouldn't I be able to give you a surprise? I didn't expect. He didn't finish his words, but Su Peijian could already understand what he meant. He looked gloomy because he failed the interview. Are you still angry? Ling Jing hugged her and looked at her face. What are you angry about? Nothing. Su Peijian shook her head. Maybe she was really thinking too much. What position did you interview for? Real estate agent. Ling Jing blinked. And then they said I was not sincere enough. He leaned in front of Su Peijian and stared at her with his beautiful almond-shaped eyes. Am I not sincere enough? Su Peijian's doubts just now dissipated. Looking at Ling Jing's sloppy appearance, she didn't know how to tell him. Ling Jing, I'm so sincere. Look, I even went there in a suit. Su Peijian's brows furrowed again. Don't tell me that you wore this suit and drove your car to the interview. Yes. Can I? Su Peijian held her forehead and looked at Ling Jing. For the first time, she asked him seriously, have you had any experience in interviews before? Yes. Wasn't it the warehouse manager last time? Did you wear a suit when you interviewed for the warehouse manager position? No. Ling Jing shook her head and said quite frankly, I passed by that door last time and happened to see it, so I was interviewed. As for what to wear, I forgot. Forget it. Su Peijian didn't want to talk about it anymore. In a place like a warehouse, who would care what you wore? However, the agent was different. He was dressed in such a glamorous outfit. Which company would want him? Who wouldn't think that he might be some rich second-generation kid who was just here to play for a few days and experience life? What happened to you? It's okay. Su Peijian knew that this was a huge project. It would take more than a day or two to make Ling Jing understand. Forget it. Let's eat. Don't count it. Tell me, what did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. Su Peijian didn't know how to respond. Forget it. Think carefully about what you want to do. You mean it's not suitable for me to go out and find a job? It's not that it's not suitable. Su Peijian was thinking about how to explain it. I just think that it's not good for you to do whatever you want now. Why don't you calm down and think carefully about what you want to do in the future? Okay. Ling Jing smiled and leaned over, kissing her on the lips. I'll listen to you. After saying that, he hugged her tightly, looking like a big panda. Seeing him like this, Su Peijian's anger and suspicion disappeared. Ling Jing, whose chin is resting on her shoulder, has a smug smile in her eyes. Today's operation. Full marks. Su Peijian sat in the office and read a few professional analysis reports in the industry. In the end, she put all the reports on the table and didn't pick them up again. In fact, these professions looked good, but none of them were suitable for Ling Jing. With Ling Jing's personality, it wasn't a big problem for him to deal with people. However, he looked sloppy, but in fact, he was full of pride, and he was a little conceited. In her opinion, such a person should be his own boss. But his current ability, Su Peijian rubbed between her eyebrows, feeling a headache coming on. She found that she was actually like an elder, starting to worry about a man's future. In fact, the most important thing was to reassure Xiang Kaiping. As far as she was concerned, it didn't matter at all. Thinking of Ling Jing, who was becoming more and more like a child with her these days, Su Peijian felt a headache coming on. When she got home, Su Peijian found that Ling Jing hadn't come back yet, and the room was dark. Where did this guy go? Su Peijian turned on the light, only to find that it seemed to be broken. She tried several times, but couldn't turn on the light. Thinking that maybe the fuse was broken, she was about to check it herself and see if she should ask someone to fix it. Suddenly, there was a bright light in front of her. She instinctively narrowed her eyes, and when she recovered, she found that there was a clown wearing a mask standing in front of her. Su-Peijian was startled by the sudden appearance of the clown and instinctively stepped back. Her body was pressed against the door, and her hand reached for the door handle. Just as she was about to quickly escape, she suddenly found that something was wrong. The clown didn't pounce on her, but stopped there and reached out to her. The clown's hands were wearing gloves, but she also reacted at this time. Instead of holding the clown's hand, she crossed her arms in front of her chest and stared at the clown. The clown seemed to be very dissatisfied with her action, and he pulled her into his arms. He snapped his fingers, and the music started. She was held by him, and they danced in the living room. Su-Peijian had specially learned how to dance. The clown's dance steps were not bad. The living room wasn't big, and the two of them couldn't perform very well. But it was barely enough. Looking at the face in front of her, who was wearing a mask, Su-Peijian got used to it after spinning in a circle. "What are you doing?" The person under the clown mask didn't respond, and she was held and spun in a circle again. The music continued, and finally, the music stopped. "Happy holidays." Ling Jing's voice sounded. He took off the mask and smiled brightly at Su-Peijian. "It's you." Although she knew it was him, Su-Peijian still felt a little uncomfortable looking at Ling Jing in the clown costume. "What are you doing?" He was dressed as a clown, and he was dancing with her? Was it his birthday today? "Happy holidays." Ling Jing smiled brightly, picked up a bouquet of roses from the coffee table next to him, and placed it in front of Su-Peijian. Su-Peijian looked at the big bouquet of flowers, and then looked at his incongruous clown costume. It was really a little inexplicable. What holiday? Why don't I know about it? Valentine's Day had long passed, and Chinese Valentine's Day hadn't come yet. Even Labor Day was a month away, so she didn't know what holiday he was referring to. April Fool's Day. Su-Peijian was shocked by these 4 words. She looked at Ling Jing blankly, and it took her a long time to find her voice. April Fool's Day? Yes. Ling Jing threw the mask aside, stepped forward, and put his arms around her waist. "I'm with you, so naturally, I have to remember every meaningful day, including April Fool's Day, Labor Day, and Children's Day in the future." Su-Peijian looked at Ling Jing in front of her and really didn't know what to say. "You're dressed like this? To celebrate April Fool's Day?" "Yes." Ling Jing nodded, and with a matter-of-fact expression, he said, "Actually, I wanted to scare you by pretending to be a ghost, but I was afraid that you would be scared and my heart would ache. I could only dress as a clown. How is it? Did it scare you?" Su-Peijian rubbed the space between her eyebrows. She was thinking about what kind of way to find for Ling Jing in the company, but Ling Jing was thinking about what to do at home to scare her by pretending to be a clown. How could this person be so childish? And it just so happened that he was so childish and cute. "You scared me." Just now, he suddenly jumped out and really scared her. "Really?" Ling Jing's expression changed. "I've already picked a lot of them. This mask is the most gentle one. I'm not talking about a clown," but Su-Peijian looked at him, but in the end, she didn't say a word. There was a trace of a slight touch in her heart that was constantly expanding. Ling Jing might have used the wrong method, but who could say that April Fool's Day wasn't a holiday? There would never be a shortage of smart people in this world, but few people would be willing to put themselves in the position of a fool. Ling Jing could dress as a clown for her. There was no other thought in her mind now, and she completely forgot the scare just now. She only felt that Ling Jing, who tried so hard to dress as a clown, was really cute. "Thank you." She glanced at the roses in front of her. "The flowers are very beautiful. Of course, I kept an eye on the shop assistant and let her pick them one by one. I even cut the stem at the bottom myself." "Thank you." This wasn't the first bouquet of flowers Su-Peijian had received, but it was a bouquet of flowers that Ling Jing had given her. She raised her head to look at him, and there was finally a hint of a smile in her eyes. "It's very beautiful. I like it very much. It's good that you like it." Ling Jing picked her up along with the flowers. "Since you like it, can you let me like it too?" "What are you doing?" Su-Peijian's body was suspended in the air. "Let me put the flowers down first." "No." Ling Jing shook his head. These flowers can't be put down. I have a use for them. What? I want to spread these flowers all over the bed, and then do it with you on the petals. Just imagining Ling Jing's words made Su Peijian's face heat up. This bastard. Can't you think of something else? Of course I do. Ling Jing didn't hide his indecency and shamelessness at all. There are a lot of petals. After making the bed, there are some leftover petals that can be sprinkled into the bathtub. The two of us could take a petal bath together. Su Peijian didn't know what to say. She only felt that not only her face was hot, but even her body was a little hot. Thinking of the scene that Ling Jing had described, she actually felt a little expectant. Don't deny it. You're also looking forward to it, aren't you? Ling Jing had a naughty smile on his face. When the corners of his mouth curled up, it was full of evil. Ling Jing, he carried her into the room. Later, as he said, Ling Jing did. The petals of the rose were used to their intended purpose. In the end, Su Peijian was so tired that she couldn't get out of bed. In the morning, Su Peijian slept lazily on the bed. She didn't want to move. Her body was soft from head to toe. It was sore, soft, and uncomfortable. She glared at Ling Jing next to her. There was one really bad thing about this guy. He didn't know how to control himself. Ling Jing. Ling Jing grabbed her finger and kissed it. Her skin was so good. From head to toe, her skin, which was carefully maintained, was beautiful. Tell me, don't come. I'm very tired. I think you're in good spirits. I'm serious. I'm serious too. Ling Jing was halfway through his actions. When he met Su Peijian's eyes, he put her hand down. You can't blame me. Blame yourself. You're too seductive. I can't help it. This person really never had more than 3 minutes of serious time. Su Peijian was very lazy today. She didn't want to get up to make breakfast. She called Zhou Mei and told her that she would be coming to the company later. She turned over and let herself snuggle into Ling Jing's arms. Ling Jing, have you thought about what you're going to do? It had been a few days since he failed the interview. He had been at home every day doing these things. Although she was touched, as a man, it really wasn't a long-term solution. Previously, Ling Jing worked as a warehouse manager in a warehouse near his home. Later, when she saw the injuries on his body, she didn't let him go again. In fact, she didn't mean to look down on the warehouse manager. She just felt that it was really not suitable for Ling Jing to do this job with his conditions. However, it was obviously not suitable for him to not work. After all, Ling Jing was too energetic. Instead of going to work, she focused all her energy on herself. She really couldn't take it anymore. I haven't thought about it yet. Ling Jing blinked his eyes with a casual attitude. He really didn't expect that a few words he said casually would be so easy to believe. Su Peijian actually believed him so easily. TSK. Thinking about it seriously, there really wasn't much sense of accomplishment. He couldn't wait to know what kind of expression Su Peijian would have on the day he exposed her real wooden eyes. It was really exciting to think about it. However, before that, he had to make her fall in love with him wholeheartedly. I've also tried, but I really don't know what I can do. Why don't you give me some advice? Su Peijian was silent. She looked at Ling Jing's appearance very seriously. With his ability, it was not easy to find an easy job now. However, his appearance was good. Perhaps he could go in a certain direction. She just didn't know if he was willing or not. Have you ever thought about being a model or an entertainer? After all, your appearance is not bad. Although he thought that if Ling Jing took that path, he would appear in front of more people. It was indeed a more suitable path for him. I don't want to. Ling Jing refused without thinking. What kind of joke was this? He, the dignified young master of the Ling family, was going to act coquettishly and be a dessert for others? Looking at Su Peijian's somewhat puzzled eyes, his tone softened. Being an entertainer is not good at all. Not only do I have to be exposed to the public, but I also have no private life. And that industry is very messy. I don't want to go. Su Peijian nodded. This was also a problem. When she was in Lin City, she had seen a lot of it. Chapter 855. Then what do you want to do? Afraid that Ling Jing would think too much, she added, I don't have to urge you to work, but people have to have something to do when they are alive. After all, idling around every day isn't a long-term solution. She doesn't mind if her man has a job or how much money he earns. But if Ling Jing doesn't even have a formal job, Xiang Kaiping will be worried. Xiang Kaiping had worked hard for half of her life, although it was impossible for her to really interfere with her choices. However, she had to at least make Xiang Kaiping feel that the man she had chosen was reliable. If Xiang Kaiping found out that the man she found was a good-for-nothing hooligan, Xiang Kaiping's high blood pressure and heart disease would be triggered. Ling Jing circled her waist and seemed to be thinking very seriously. Su Peijian didn't rush him. After all, it wasn't something that could be done in a day or two. Wrapping her waist in his arms, Ling Jing's hand caressed her waist very casually. How about I become a pastry chef? A pastry chef? Su Peijian had never thought about that. Why would you want to do that? The last time I went to the restaurant, I saw that you seemed to like the cake there. If I learn how to make pastries, I can make them for you next time. Su Peijian paused for a moment. The cake from that restaurant was indeed delicious. It tasted really good. She didn't expect that Ling Jing would take it to heart just by tasting a few more mouthfuls. She pursed her lips and suddenly smiled. Sure, it was pretty good. It's a pretty good profession. Then it's decided. Ling Jing winked at her. I'm going to find a cake shop and learn baking. Seeing that Su Peijian was silent, he held her hand. What do you think? Was it really okay? If you don't like it, why don't you tell me what to do? But I'm not an artist. Su Peijian saw the fawning look in his eyes and shook her head. No, I think it's pretty good. I'll take this one. Won't you dislike it? Of course not. There is no distinction between high and low professions. Moreover, she was not short of money. It was good that Ling Jing had something to do, but she could afford to support him if he had nothing to do. Most importantly, it would be good if he could find something he liked to do. Go and learn. Once you've learned it, you'll have to learn it. I'm investing in a pastry bakery. When the time comes, you'll be your own boss. Okay. Ling Jing grabbed her hand and kissed her fingertips. That's settled. When Su Peijian walked out of the company, it was not yet time to get off work. She left early today to pick up Ling Jing and pick up a gift for her. Ling Jing came back yesterday and said that he found a dessert shop and started to work today. To celebrate his first day at work, Su Peijian wanted to give him a gift. Su Peijian wanted to laugh at the thought of Ling Jing dressing up as a clown just to celebrate April Fool's Day. In fact, she didn't feel surprised at all. Instead, she felt frightened. But for a man to have such intentions, she was really touched. Thinking of Ling Jing's childish look, she really felt a little conflicted. What should I give her? Lost in her thoughts, she unknowingly went downstairs. He walked out of the elevator, intending to go to the boutique department. However, she heard someone calling her name. Peijian. Su Peijian was no stranger to that voice. She turned around and saw Su Qingsang behind her. Peijian. Su Qingsang was holding the hand of a little girl who looked about 1 year old. The little girl looked like she was carved from jade and was very cute. Su Peijian was stunned for a moment. She didn't expect Su Qingsang to call her. Yes. After responding, she stood there. She didn't take a step forward, didn't leave, and didn't call Su Qingsang's sister. Compared to her coldness, Su Qingsang's attitude was much more amiable. She picked up the pink little girl in her arms and let her look at Su Peijian. Come, Nian Nian, call me aunt. Su Peijian was stunned because of this sentence. The little girl didn't seem to have seen her before and was very curious. She blinked her big eyes and looked at her. Call me aunt. Nian Nian. Aunt. Nian Nian was more than 1 year old. He could say some simple words, and he could also say a few simple sentences. Su Peijian suddenly didn't know how to react because the other party called her aunt. She stared blankly at the little girl in front of her. The little girl was very beautiful and had perfectly inherited all the advantages of her parents. When she called people in a childish voice, she was very cute. She was so soft and cute that people wanted to hold her in their hands and love her. Do you want to hug her? Su Qingsang smiled at her when she stared at Nian Nian like this. She carried Nian Nian and took a step forward. Nian Nian, do you want to let me hug you? Nian Nian's little face frowned. She looked at Su Peijian and then at Su Qingsang. Finally, she nodded and reached out to Su Peijian. Aunt, hug. Su Peijian stood still. She was stunned, as if she had been frightened. However, The moment Yin Yin reached out, she hugged her into her arms. It was very soft, a very small pink ball, and there seemed to be a milky fragrance on it. She swallowed her saliva, not sure if she could hold it firmly. She felt inexplicably flustered. You have to do this. Put this hand here and this hand here. Su Peijian hugged the child with a subtle expression. After hugging her for less than a minute, she returned Yin Yin to Su Qingsang. Actually, it doesn't matter. The child isn't that delicate. Su Qingsang took her daughter back. Su Peijian didn't reply. She rubbed her nose and looked at Yin Yin uncertainly. Aren't there two? She heard that Su Qingsang gave birth to twins. Where was the other one? Think about it. It's very noisy. It's so naughty at such a young age. His father is carrying him in the children's area over there. I was holding Yin Yin's diapers just now. I'm going to look for them now. Then, you go ahead. Su Peijian didn't think she had anything to say to Su Qingsang, but Su Qingsang was in high spirits. Peijian, yes. It's not very convenient for me to carry the child today. If you don't mind, let's find a cafe to sit down and chat for a while. Afraid that Su Peijian would overthink, Su Qingsang added, I mean, there are some things that I might need to let you know. She knew that Su Peijian already had a boyfriend. However, Old Master Hu finally relented and pleaded with Hu Jinyao to let Hu Yifan out early. After Hu Yifan came out, he would probably come a look for Su Peijian. She knew that Su Peijian had a boyfriend, but she had no doubt that Hu Yifan would go to look for Su Peijian when he came out. Talk. Su Peijian frowned. I don't think I have anything to talk about with you. As she spoke, she noticed that the little ball in Su Qingsang's arms was staring at her, so her tone softened a little. Some things are in the past. I won't think about it again. Some things are done, and I won't regret it. If you want to hear my confession, there's no need. I've already paid the price. If you feel sorry for me, there's even less need. I don't remember if I pitied you when you were an illegitimate daughter. Peijian. Su Qingsang wasn't angry because of her words. She hugged Yin Yin tightly in her arms. What are you thinking about? I'm your sister. Can't we sit down and have a chat? I also wanted to ask you, how has Annie been recently? She had always felt guilty towards Xiang Kaiping. But now, in order not to make Li Qinshu sad, and in order not to let Su Peijian think too much, it really wasn't convenient for her to see Xiang Kaiping. Pretty good. Her health is good, and she's in good spirits. Recently, she seems to have fallen in love with watching a palace drama. Pretty good. That's good. Su Qingsang looked at Yin Yin, who was wriggling in her arms, and listened to her mumble the word miss. She knew that she was going to look for her brother. Since you don't have time, then next time. I'll take her to see her brother first. Su Peijian nodded slightly in response, and watched Su Qingsang leave in front of her. She stood there in a daze. She couldn't tell what she was feeling. It wasn't jealousy, nor was it sadness. It was just a little confused. In the end, she still could not care. In the end, there would still be some dark thoughts, feeling that she had stolen everything from her. She clenched her fists and chased these paranoid and dark thoughts out of her mind. She knew that she couldn't let herself continue like this. You've already paid the price once, so you can't do it again. Su Peijian told herself that, then turned around and continued to walk towards the boutique department. However, Su Qingsang's daughter's pink little face suddenly flashed through her mind. She had to admit that her genes were really strong. That little pink ball was indeed soft and cute. She wondered what that child would be like if she had a child one day. Would it be like her, or like Su Peijian, who realized what she was thinking, quickly shook the thought away. She was really crazy. Ling Jing was a child now. How could she dare to believe that he could shoulder the responsibility of being a father? However, there was a voice in her heart that told her that sometimes she couldn't judge a book by its cover. Thinking of Ling Jing's act of pretending to be a clown to please her, Su Peijian suddenly felt that if Ling Jing really became a father, perhaps he would also be a good father. However, it was really too early to think about this now. Su Peijian sat in the car and waited for Ling Jing to come out of the bakery opposite. It was already the end of spring, but Rome City was still slightly cold. She had asked Ling Jing before, and Ling Jing said that he worked in this bakery. After waiting for about 15 minutes, she didn't see Ling Jing come out. She had sent Ling Jing a message half an hour ago. She was afraid that he was working, so she specially asked him if he had time. At that time, Ling Jing said that he had time. Su Peijian looked at the time again. Ling Jing hadn't come out yet. This bakery was very close to Rome Garden. She looked at the time and saw that another 15 minutes had passed. That meant that it had been almost an hour since she called Ling Jing and he appeared. She thought about it and opened the car door. Just as she was about to get out of the car, she saw Ling Jing running all the way. He ran so fast that the open black casual jacket flew to both sides because of his movements. When he saw her, he seemed to show a bright smile, but he was panting. "Did you wait long?" He panted as he got into Su Peijian's car. Su Peijian looked at him and frowned slightly. She took out a bottle of water from the side and handed it to him. "Why are you running like this? People who don't know would think that you went to participate in the 100-meter race. Wasn't that right?" He was supposed to be at the company dealing with business. Unexpectedly, Su Peijian called and said that she would pick him up from work. His company was about an hour's drive from Rome Garden. He hurried and didn't encounter a traffic jam. "No, it's just a little hot in the kitchen." He pretended to fan his face. Su Peijian looked at him with a little heartache and a little helpless. She directly took a tissue in front of him and wiped the sweat on his face. "If you're not free, I can wait for a while. You can tell me." Her movements were rare. In her heart, because Ling Jing was younger than her, she would always be more tolerant of him. In addition to being moved, there was also tolerance. It was also because of her experience that she wouldn't care about these small things. She really didn't care. I was afraid that you would wait for me for too long." Ling Jing held her hand and let her wipe his sweat with a tissue. Finally, he grabbed her hand and said, "If I let you wait for too long, my heart will ache." Su Peijian glanced at him, wiped his sweat, and handed him a box. "This is a gift for you. That good?" Ling Jing looked at the box. "Why is there a gift? What day is it?" "To celebrate your first day at work." Ling Jing held the box and looked at Su Peijian, who had a gentle expression. He suddenly leaned over and kissed her lips hard. After all, they were on the side of the road. Su Peijian pushed his body. He let go of her after kissing her enough and pressed his forehead against hers. "Personally, I prefer to celebrate in another way." This guy, really, Su Peijian didn't want to talk anymore. "Let's go eat. How about I treat you to Japanese food? I know a restaurant that serves good eel rice." "Okay." Ling Jing watched her start the car. He sat back in his seat, squeezed the box in his hand, and took out his phone. "What are you doing?" "Taking a picture." Ling Jing smiled at her. "To celebrate the first gift you gave me." Su Peijian couldn't help but smile. In fact, Ling Jing was really good. He was happy, and he was unhappy. His emotions were very obvious, just like a child. The moment she smiled, Ling Jing looked at her profile as she concentrated on driving, took a picture of her, and matched it with the box. However, he didn't post it on WeChat. The moment he put down his phone, he sent a message to Gu Xiao. His car was parked at the back door of the bakery, and he asked Gu Xiao to drive his car back to Rome Garden. This was not a long-term solution. He had to think of a way to stop Su Peijian from looking for him next time. He suddenly turned his face to look at Su Peijian. In fact, she had taken the bait. He had achieved his goal, and he could leave. But, for some reason, there was a trace of hesitation in his heart. He told himself that it was because Su Peijian hadn't fallen in love with him yet. Not completely and completely. He wanted to wait until she completely fell in love with him, and then he would unveil that layer of paper. At that time, it would be his complete victory. At that time, how would she react? Chapter 856. Why are you looking at me? Even though Su Peijian was driving, she could feel Ling Jing's gaze. "I'm looking at you because you're beautiful." Ling Jing's face became a bit frivolous. "I've never seen a woman more beautiful than you. Of course I have to look at you." Su Peijian wouldn't believe a word of Ling Jing's words. To him, it was possible that she was the prettiest one among all the female sugar moms who had supported him in the past. For some reason, thinking that Ling Jing had had other women, she felt a little jealous. Forget it. It was meaningless to care about the past now, as long as they only had each other in the future. They went to the Japanese restaurant that Su Peijian mentioned. After dinner, They went to watch a movie. The movie was an American sci-fi blockbuster, and it was very long. It was very late when they returned home. Su Peijian took a shower and lay down directly to sleep, but Ling Jing didn't let her sleep. She didn't know why that guy was very energetic today, but he pestered her several times. Later, she kept saying that she had to go to work, so he stopped. When she was in a daze, she felt Ling Jing's hand on her face. Without thinking much, she habitually snuggled into Ling Jing's arms. He hugged her from behind and buried his face in her neck. When she got up in the morning, Ling Jing also got up. Yesterday, the store manager said that we have to go early today. Yes, I'll give you a lift. Okay, Ling Jing nodded. But don't come to me next time. Yesterday was my first day at work, and I'll be busy until late today. Late? Su Peijian frowned slightly. Yes, I'm an apprentice, so of course I have to leave early and come back late. Thank you. Su Peijian's waist was a little sore. She stepped forward and kissed Ling Jing on the cheek. Then study hard and strive to be your own boss in the future. Then you'll have more free time. Okay, Ling Jing nodded. Her expression was gentle, and there was nothing strange about her. Su Peijian followed him out. Ling Jing got out of the car and entered the bakery. After entering the door, they went directly to the back door, where Guxiu's car was already waiting. Guxiu looked at his young master and really didn't understand what he was doing. He said that he wanted to buy a bakery. Who would care about such a small workshop? Was the Ling family's business not enough for him to play around with? However, as a subordinate, he had no right to speak. He drove Ling Jing to the company. After entering the company, Ling Jing changed her jacket and put on a suit jacket. When he returned to his office, his subordinates were already waiting there. Guxiu entered the door. After Ling Jing finished listening to the reports from her subordinates, she stood in front of him. Guxiu waved his hand, and those people left. The irrelevant people in the office had all left. Ling Jing glanced at Guxiu. What is it? Shen Lefu has already made contact with the people we buried. Guxiu nodded. She should have believed us. I reckon she'll make her move in the next 2 days. After he finished speaking, he realized that Ling Jing looked absent-minded. Young master? After wiring for so long, why does Ling Jing not look happy at all? Isn't it just a matter of time? Anyway, it's just one of them. I'm not curious anymore. From the eldest to the fifth, none of them could escape. The ancient cultivator stood motionless. He only felt that Ling Jing was becoming more and more uncertain. After finishing the report, Guxiu turned around and was about to leave. However, Ling Jing suddenly stopped him. Guxiu turned around and saw Ling Jing staring at him strangely. Young master, let me ask you something. What? I remember that you have a girlfriend, right? Yes. Guxiu didn't understand why Ling Jing asked this, but he still answered honestly, I have a girlfriend. We've been dating for 3 years. Ling Jing's expression became more and more strange. Have you ever lied to your girlfriend? No. Guxiu shook his head. I'm not courting death. Why would I lie to her? Ling Jing's face darkened. She glanced at Guxiu coldly. You can leave now. Guxiu was confused, but he had no choice but to leave. He thought for a long time, but still couldn't understand. He only felt that the young master was really becoming more and more temperamental. What should he do? Su Peijian looked at the invitation in her hand and was a little lost in thought. The invitation was sent by Su Qingseng, the banquet of Tianyu Group. Why did she send me an invitation? Her phone rang at the right time. It was Su Qingseng. She frowned and hesitated for 3 seconds before picking up. Peijian, did you receive the invitation? Yes. I know that if Jin Yao gave you an invitation, you wouldn't come. However, this is the group's. It was supposed to be for Dad, because Dad has some cooperation with some companies here. But Dad is in Lin City and can't come. He told me that some cases will be handed over to you, and you will be in charge of them. Yes. Because the cooperation with Lin Feixing's company went well last time, Su Chenghui used the excuse that he had to be in Lin City often and handed over some cases that he thought were suitable to her. If that's the case, then you have to come. Meet those partners. Su Peijian didn't speak. Her expression didn't look good. Her fingertips held the invitation, and her expression was slightly cold. Peijian? Okay, I got it. I'll go. You can also bring a male partner. Su Qing Sang reminded her very considerately. You can bring the gentleman from last time. No need. Ling Jing's personality was really not suitable for that kind of occasion. She had no intention of pushing Ling Jing into the upper class. It wasn't suitable for him. Okay, you can come by yourself when the time comes. After hanging up the phone, Su Peijian put down the invitation and looked at the words on it in a daze. Was she really going to interact with the Hua family and the Hua family's affairs again? What's wrong? When Ling Jing returned home, he found that Su Peijian didn't look good. He went forward and put the box in his hand on the coffee table, then sat down next to her and wrapped his arms around her waist. Why do you look unhappy? I'm not unhappy. Su Peijian shook her head. There were some things that she didn't know how to tell Ling Jing. How are you? Are you used to working for a week? Of course I'm used to it. Ling Jing hugged her tightly and lowered his head to smell the fragrance on her body. It's just that every day, the store manager likes to let us bring home the bread that can't be sold. Su Peijian looked at the bread on the coffee table. Next time, you should bring the cake that you bake yourself. Okay. Ling Jing let go of her and turned his face to the side. But I've just learned. My skills are very poor. It's okay. Su Peijian smiled. As long as the bread you baked is delicious, I'll definitely do you the favor. Then wouldn't I be very honored? As Ling Jing spoke, his hands began to be dishonest again. Su Peijian didn't refuse him. Other than her menstrual period, their daily entanglement had become a necessity, just like eating and sleeping every day. He was very tall. He easily picked her up and went to the room. With Ling Jing around, the emotion she felt when the Tianyu group sent the invitation card to her dissipated under his actions. A few days later, it was the day of the banquet held by Tianyu group. Ling Jing didn't work the night shift this time. Their bakery had 2 shifts every day. One week was the night shift, and the other was the day shift. Ling Jing said that from this week onwards, they would work the day shift. Yesterday, he asked her to promise to come back to eat with him. Where are we going to eat tonight? Nowhere. Su Peijian put on her makeup and stood up. I have plans tonight. What plans? Ling Jing stepped forward and hugged her waist. Are you going to talk business with a male client? Although he had arranged for Ying Tianlong last time, he was really afraid that Su Peijian would meet such a person. Su Peijian didn't pay attention to the nervousness in Ling Jing's words. She knew what he was thinking. But in this world, not everyone would be like Ying Tianlong. There's a banquet at Tianyu Group. I'm going. Tianyu Group? Ling Jing was stunned. Why was Su Peijian going to Tianyu Group's banquet? Su Peijian then realized that Ling Jing might not have heard of a company like Tianyu Group. We have some business cooperation. Su Peijian didn't tell him about her relationship with Su Qing Sang. She didn't know where to start or how to say it. She didn't say it, and Ling Jing wasn't curious. After all, he already knew what he wanted to know. Then you go. I'll help myself. Okay. Su Peijian was about to leave, but when she saw Ling Jing's face, she turned back again and kissed him on the cheek. Okay, I'm leaving. You can order takeout at home, or ask Xiao Zhao to come over and cook for you. Okay. Su Peijian left. Ling Jing packed up and was about to go to the company. His phone rang. The name displayed on it was an old woman. Ling Jing frowned and picked up the phone. Mom, it's rare that you still remember me as your mother. Lu Shiyun's voice came from the other side of the phone. How long have you not been home? It hasn't been that long. Didn't you just come back a few days ago? Yes, I just came back a few days ago, but after I came back, I left in a hurry after a meal. I didn't even stay at home for a night. What do you want me to say about you? Mom, didn't I say that I'm busy with work? Don't be cheeky with me. Busy? How busy? So busy that you didn't even go back to the Imperial Villa? You didn't even stay at the company? Tell me honestly, where are you? Where can I be? I'm at the company. What a coincidence. I'm at your company now. Lu Shiyun's words made Ling Jing hold his forehead. Mom, what do you want? There's a banquet tonight. Your father is not well and can't attend. Why don't you accompany me? Banquet? Ling Jing's forehead twitched. What banquet? Tianyu Group's banquet seems to be an anniversary celebration. It's very big. Many people from the business world will come. Even the mayor of Rong City will come. Ling Jing held his hand there without moving. He thought of what Su Peijian had said before. She seemed to be going to Tianyu Group's banquet tonight. Chapter 857. Are you listening to me? Ling Jing was still absent-minded when Lu Shiyun's voice sounded. This time, there was obvious dissatisfaction. Let me tell you, it's fine if you don't want to go home, but you have to accompany me to the banquet tonight. Mom, I really have something to do. I don't care what you're doing. I'll send the address and time to your phone later. You can show up on your own tonight. Did you hear me? After Lu Shiyun finished speaking, she hung up the phone without giving Ling Jing any time to react. Ling Jing looked at his phone and thought that Su Peijian would also go to the Tianyu Group's banquet tonight. Now, Lu Shiyun wanted him to go. What was this? Ling Jing threw his mobile phone aside in annoyance, and his face was gloomy. Su Peijian had attended many banquets, except for the last time when he tried to steal Su Qingsong's limelight, which ended in an unexpected failure. She almost never missed. Standing in the boutique, she came to pick up the dress she ordered a few days ago. The invitation arrived just in time, giving her a chance to make some alterations to the dress she had ordered. She is on the thin side. It was just that her bust was more impressive than the average woman's. In order to keep a low profile, she chose a black dress. The neckline design exposed both sides of the shoulders. The soft muslin began to shrink around her waist until it was too tight to hold. She turned around and looked at herself in the mirror. She was satisfied. At that moment, the stylist took out a pair of black high heels and placed them in front of her. He looked himself up and down. Not bad. I should be able to control the situation. By the time Su Peijian entered the banquet hall, many people had already arrived. Most of them were unfamiliar faces, and she didn't recognize many of them. She wasn't surprised to see the mayor of Rong City there. In the past 2 years, Tianyu Group had really become more and more powerful. Su Qingsong saw her from afar. She handed the baby to the nanny and walked towards her. Today, as the wife of the president of Tianyu Group, she looked noble and elegant in her blue dress. She had to admit that Su Qingsong's temperament was getting better and better after marrying Hu Jinyao. Peijian, you're here. Su Qingsong smiled warmly and said, There are many guests today. I'm afraid I can't entertain them all. However, there are a few friends I met after coming to Rong City. Can I introduce them to you? I have a companion too. There's no need for that. Su Peijian shook her head. You should get back to work. I can take care of myself. All right then. She knew Su Peijian's personality very well. There was no point in saying anything more. Su Qingsong said a few more words and left. Over the past 2 years, she had been in the industry for a long time, so she was more and more at ease. Su Peijian watched quietly for a while before finally withdrawing her gaze. She was just about to find a quiet place to sit down when she saw a noble woman walking in from afar. That woman gave her the feeling that she was somewhat familiar. Su Peijian was still trying to recall where she had seen her before. That rich lady was greeting people, but for some reason, she was picking people to greet. Then, she walked to the side and picked a place to sit. Her seat happened to be behind a screen. Su Peijian was sitting behind him. The woman's face was indeed familiar, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't remember who she was. She seemed to see someone familiar in front of her, and then she heard the voice of the rich lady on the phone. Jing, didn't I tell you to come over? Where are you? You're brave now. You don't take me seriously anymore. I asked you to pick you up, but you said you would come by yourself. Where are you now? What? Something came up and you can't come? What is it? I already told you this morning. Jing? Su Peijian's footsteps stopped there. Then she shook her head. How could it be so coincidental? Must it be Ling Jing's Jing? Maybe it was some other word. Without thinking much, she turned and left. After she left, the rich lady's temper rose. Ling Jing, do you still respect me as your mother? Huh? Sister-in-law? Hello, sister-in-law. The sudden greeting made Su Peijian stop in her tracks. She looked at the person. It took her some time to remember who the person in front of her was. Wan Xiuzhe and Lin Yinji, Hui Yifan's friends. At that time, she and Hui Yifan used each other and hung out together. Because Hui Yifan's friends were younger than Hui Yifan, they were very happy to call her sister-in-law. It was a little ironic. Hui Yifan's status in the Hui family was not low. However, because the people from several big families in Rong City were all on good terms with Hu Jinyao, Wan Xianying from the Wan family, Su Changlong from the Su family, Tang Mohan from the Tang family, and Chung Xianyan from the Chung family. After the heirs of these big families were decided, they naturally had fun with Hua Jinyao, the appointed heir of the Hua family. However, who didn't have some shameful things to say? This Wan Xiuzhe was the illegitimate son of the Wan family, and Lin Yinji was the illegitimate son of the Tang family. Wan Xiuzhe was fine. The Wan family at least gave him a surname and recognized his identity. Lin Yinji was still not recognized by the Tang family and still followed his biological mother's surname. These two and a few others didn't have good backgrounds. They couldn't rely on Hua Jinyao, so they all relied on Hui Yifan. Wan Xiuzhe and Lin Yinji had a good relationship with Hui Yifan back then. Su Peijian didn't intend to make things difficult for them, but her voice was very cold. Don't call me sister-in-law. I'm not your sister-in-law. Sister-in-law's words are too hurtful. Our brother Fan is thinking about you every day in prison. These words were very reasonable. In the past 2 years, Hui Yifan had been in prison more or less because of her. If she hadn't taken Qi Shiwei's plan, Hui Yifan wouldn't have been sentenced to so long. However, she said, I have nothing to do with him now. You don't have to call me sister-in-law. After saying this, she was about to leave. However, Wan Xiuzhe blocked in front of her. Sister-in-law, don't be in such a hurry to leave. Brother Fan is about to come out. He'll be released in a few days. Sister-in-law, do you want to come with us to pick him up? Hui Yifan was coming out. Didn't he serve a longer sentence than her? Su Peijian didn't ask back then, but she vaguely remembered that Hui Yifan's sentence was longer than hers. Was he coming out so soon? It seemed that old Master Hu was still too soft-hearted. Sister-in-law, Wan Xiuzhe wanted to say something, but Su Peijian didn't want to listen. I'll say it again, I'm not your sister-in-law. Secondly, Hui Yifan and I broke up a long time ago, so what happens to him has nothing to do with me. She didn't even use the word break up, because to her, there was no such thing as a so-called breakup between her and Hui Yifan. They had cooperated with each other, and after they finished using each other, they each received the punishment they deserved. Wan Xiuzhe and Lin Yinji looked at each other, as if they didn't expect Su Peijian to be so heartless. For Su Peijian, this was enough, because meeting these two people had greatly affected her mood. Not long after, she sat in the corner and listened to the gossip for a while, looking at the various attitudes of the people who came to attend. She was already familiar with these people, so she wasn't unfamiliar with them at all. But now, she was inexplicably annoyed by what she had enjoyed in the past. Listening to those women talk about the beautiful jewelry of this store and the beautiful bags of that store, she lost interest for the first time. She went to say goodbye to Su Qingsang and left. As for the other members of the Hua family, she was no longer interested in seeing them. Before leaving, she saw from the corner of her eye that the rich lady from before was still on the phone. Occasionally, the whispers of two women who passed by just happened to pour into her ears. Did you see that? She gave up being the best actress and ran to be someone else's lover. Now, she even openly appeared in front of the public. How shameless. I saw her. Shoo. Don't mention it. Don't let her hear it. What does it matter if she hears it? She dares to do it, so why should she be afraid of people talking about it? Su Peijian followed their gazes and glanced at the rich lady. It was only then that she remembered who that woman was. A long time ago, an actress who had won 2 Best Actress awards. Her surname seemed to be Liu. She remembered it because she and Li Qianxue both liked the movie that won the Best Actress award. Both of them had watched it. It wasn't until Su Peijian got into the car that she finally remembered the name of the Best Actress. Her name was Liu Xiyun. No wonder she looked familiar. Her every movement was indeed charming, but she didn't expect that she was actually being someone else's lover now. But what did that have to do with her? These stars, these people, didn't they come and go like this? Why should she be surprised? When Su Peijian returned home, she found that Ling Jing wasn't at home. She frowned slightly. If she remembered correctly, Ling Jing said that he wouldn't be working the night shift tonight and would come back early. Su Peijian took out her phone and called Ling Jing. The phone rang in the room. She went in and found that Ling Jing didn't bring his phone. Where did this guy go? Su Peijian thought about it and was about to change her clothes to find Ling Jing when Ling Jing came back. As soon as he entered the door, he saw the gown Su Peijian was wearing. Su Peijian had left in a hurry. It was a little cold outside, but she was too lazy to change. After thinking about it, she decided to go home first. When Ling Jing saw Su Peijian, he suddenly couldn't move his eyes away. The black gown really suited her. It made her look like her skin was creamy and outstanding. Where did you go? In the study. In the study? She had forgotten to go to the study just now. What are you doing in the study? Looking for some new cake recipes. Ling Jing's answer was a little absent-minded. Before Su Peijian asked again, he had already stepped forward and picked her up. You are so beautiful today. With his arms around her waist, Ling Jing's hand happened to touch Su Peijian's back after the first compliment. There was a hollow part there, revealing more than half of her waist. His expression suddenly changed. You didn't go to the party wearing this today, did you? What else? Ling Jing's teeth were a little sore. Looking at Su Peijian, he couldn't help but bite her collarbone. Next time, don't wear such revealing clothes. It was best to wear at home. Ling Jing. Was there something wrong with his eyes? Which part of her clothes was revealing? But before she could finish her words, Ling Jing had already put her body on the bed. Chapter 858. Tianyu Group's banquet was like an interlude. Su Peijian forgot about it after attending. Her life entered a relatively peaceful state. Every day, after work, she took time to go back to see Xiang Kaiping and eat with her. However, she rarely returned to the villa. When Xiang Kaiping asked, she only said that it was inconvenient for her to go to work. In fact, she knew in her heart that Xiang Kaiping might have guessed that she had a boyfriend, but her personality had always been like that. If she didn't say it, Xiang Kaiping would never take the initiative to ask. Since she didn't ask, Su Peijian didn't intend to say it. First, the conditions were not ripe. Second, her relationship with Ling Jing hadn't reached that stage yet. Although it hadn't reached that stage yet, Su Peijian had seriously thought about her future with Ling Jing. Perhaps it was because Ling Jing was too sloppy now that she didn't have the confidence to bring him to Xiang Kaiping for the time being. What are you thinking about? Ling Jing got down from her and found that Su Peijian was distracted at such a time. He couldn't help but bite her on the neck. Su Peijian felt the pain and glanced at Ling Jing. She was really speechless about how he always liked to leave all kinds of marks on her body. Are you a dog? Do you always like to bite people? I'm a wolf. Ling Jing bit her again as he spoke, but this time it was a little lighter than before. I only like to bite you. Su Peijian saw that he was about to approach her again and raised a hand to block his chest. Ling Jing, I have something to ask you. Ask. He pulled her hand away and wanted to kiss her again. Her body was really too irresistible. It wasn't the kind of girl who was young and inexperienced, nor was it like some women who were too open and dissolute. She was very honest and very passionate. She was honest about her own desires, gave him full feedback, and gave him enough passion. Their compatibility in bed was quite perfect, and her smooth skin and soft body made him often addicted, unable to extricate himself. If he was willing to be honest, it wouldn't be called somewhat, but very. Ling Jing. Su Peijian pushed him away and then looked into his eyes very seriously. How's your study going? What? As an apprentice. How's your study going? I think if you really want to do this, I think you can actually find shop. It took time to find a store, renovate, and promote the store. Also, you might not have to do it yourself in the end. You can hire someone. Do you dislike me? Ling Jing looked at the entanglement on her face, almost without thinking about it. Ling Jing? You don't like me? You think I'm just a little acolyte? I didn't mean that. You do. You wanted to open a shop now? Isn't that because you dislike me? Without waiting for Su Peijian to speak, he turned around, looking as if he didn't want to talk to her. That's not what I meant. Su Peijian knew that a person like Ling Jing, who seemed to be carefree and unrestrained, might be very sensitive. Realizing that he had misspoken, he said, That's not what I meant. What I mean is, we actually have a better option that can be faster. So be it. Why did he have to find excuses for himself? If I do as you say, won't I still be relying on you? Ling Jing refused to turn around. Su Peijian lost her patience. I just hope that you can take a detour. If you really think that way, there's nothing I can do. Ling Jing didn't speak, and the room was very silent. The good atmosphere just now is gone. Su Peijian lay down, and the atmosphere in front of her was a little oppressive. She thought about it and took a step back in the end. A man's pride. She turned around and patted Ling Jing on the shoulder. Okay, I didn't think it through. Let's not talk about it, okay? Su Peijian could understand Ling Jing's silence. He had always been a very proud person. Even when he used to be her gigolo, she had never seen him feel wronged. Naturally, he didn't want to be arranged by her like this. If you like being an acolyte, continue being an acolyte. When you think it's suitable, we'll talk about the future. How about it? Ling Jing turned around and looked at Su Peijian's sincere eyes. He actually felt a little guilty. Okay, I'll listen to you, but you have to promise me one thing. What? Promise me first. With Su Peijian's intelligence, if he made her promise now that she would forgive him no matter what he did or what he lied to her in the future, Su Peijian would definitely be able to guess that he was hiding something from her. Su Peijian looked at his childish face and frowned slightly. Okay, as long as it doesn't violate my principles, I can promise you anything. Violate principles? Ling Jing frowned. This shouldn't be considered a violation of principles, right? Yes. Everyone had their own bottom line and principles. Her bottom line and principles weren't used to be violated by Ling Jing. Ling Jing didn't respond. He suddenly felt a little nervous. She didn't know what he thought of, but he suddenly turned over and pressed Su Peijian under his body. He lowered his head and gave her a domineering kiss. The Ling Jing in front of her seemed to have returned to the beginning, full of wildness, predatory, and full of evil aura. Su Peijian didn't know if she had provoked him just now, but she saw that even though he was anxious, his actions were still a little gentle. She swallowed all her words. Forget it. Life was still long. Let him slowly understand and slowly change. She was in no hurry. Su Peijian handed the document in her hand to Zhou Mei. Recently, because of her series of measures, the performance of the two department stores was satisfactory. It was almost Labor Day. There was a small holiday. She was thinking about whether to arrange for the company's employees to go somewhere for a few days. It could be considered as a reward for their hard work. As soon as this suggestion was put forward, Zhou Mei and a few others immediately agreed. Then let the administrative department arrange it. Don't arrange all of them on Labor Day. There are many people who come to shop during the holidays. We'll leave people on duty. Let a group go first, and when they don't come, we'll change to another group. Okay. The manager of the administrative department left happily. Su Peijian knew that although it wasn't a big company, the welfare system had to be kept up. The administrative department acted quickly and sent the plan up in less than 2 days. Su Peijian looked at it and thought it was good. It was chosen in a nearby city. The scenery there was good, and it was said that one could enjoy cherry blossoms in this season. Let's do it here. You decide. President Su, are you coming with us? Su Peijian thought about it. She wanted to, but there was still Ling Jing. He was an apprentice now, so he probably didn't have many holidays. Maybe she should ask him later. I won't go. You guys make the arrangements. The manager left. Soon, there was a knock on the office door. She thought that the other party had something else to say, but after asking him to come in, it was Zhou Mei who came in. Zhou Mei stood at the door, and behind her stood a strange acquaintance. President Su. He insisted on coming up to see you. Su Peijian sighed silently. You can leave now. Help me make a cup of coffee. Yes. Zhou Mei glanced at the man. In terms of aura, he was not as imposing as Lin Feixing. However, she didn't know what happened to that President Lin. He hadn't been coming recently. Could it be that President Su changed to this one? Hui Yifan entered the door and looked around. He clicked his tongue. It seems that you've been doing well. Su Peijian didn't reply. She glanced at Hui Yifan. His ostentatious aura was gone. If he used to have the demeanor of a rich young master, now, apart from his outstanding face, the aura he exuded was completely different. It seemed that more than 2 years in prison had smoothed out his edges. You look like you've changed a lot. Hearing her words, Hui Yifan walked to the desk and glared at Su Peijian with hatred. I've changed a lot. Who gave me this? If it wasn't for you, would I have fallen for that trap? Would I have become like this? Hui Yifan, Su Peijian sat in her leather chair and didn't move at all. She looked at Hui Yifan with a cold smile and a hint of disapproval in her eyes. I said something wrong just now. 2 years have passed, but you haven't changed at all. What do you mean? How could he not have changed? After coming out of prison, there was no place for him in the company. There was nothing for him to do at home. Huo Mingliang said that he would give him a small company to run. However, he wasn't interested at all. He had always thought highly of himself and felt that there was nothing he couldn't do against Hu Jinyao. Now, he lost to him completely. He looked at Hu Jinyao in high spirits. Then what? He became a street rat. How could Hui Yifan accept such a difference? I mean, you haven't changed your mind after being locked up in prison for more than 2 years. Su Peijian stood up and looked at Hui Yifan coldly. I've been locked up for 2 years. I was wrong. I admit my mistake, and I've paid the price. But what about you? You're still the same as 2 years ago. You're used to pushing things to others. Hui Yifan, haven't you ever thought that you have your own reasons? Hui Yifan's expression changed. He looked at Su Peijian with anger. What about me? If it weren't for the old man's favoritism, how did I become like this? How did I lose to Hu Jinyao? Tell me. Playing the lute to a cow. Su Peijian couldn't get through to him, so she didn't intend to continue. You can leave. I have nothing to say to you. Leave. Hui Yifan looked at Su Peijian's face and sneered. I can't leave now. After all, I came here to look for you. Look for me. Su Peijian smiled, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. Hui Yifan, I've done everything I could to help you 3 years ago. I've done everything I could to help you. It's your own business that you lost to Hu Jinyao because you're not as good as him. Why am I the one to be blamed for this? Don't you think you're being unreasonable? Blaming you? Hui Yifan reached out and lifted Su Peijian's chin. She swatted it away. He wasn't angry, but his eyes became darker. Of course I can't blame you. After all, I still have to count on you. Chapter 859. Hui Yifan looked at Su Peijian's beautiful face. The better she was, the worse he felt. Both of them had made mistakes. Why was he the only one who had nothing in the end? What do you mean? You were the one who caused me to become like this. Su Peijian, I'm in trouble because of you. Since you made me suffer, of course, you have to take responsibility for me. Take responsibility for you? It was the first time Su Peijian had heard such an argument. Don't you think your words are ridiculous? How is it ridiculous? I think it's a good idea. Hui Yifan was almost a rascal at this time. You've made a lot of big moves recently. What? You're rich now, and you're throwing your old lover aside? Old lover, isn't it? Hui Yifan didn't think he was wrong. I haven't forgotten how much happiness we had in the past. Su Peijian looked at Hui Yifan and sneered. Hui Yifan, no wonder you lost to Hu Jinyao. What do you mean? Hui Yifan, are you still so naive at this time? Do you think we were lovers back then? Su Peijian's expression was a bit disdainful. It was just a short-term cooperation for mutual benefit. Do you really think I have feelings for you and like you? You're looking down on me too much. Hui Yifan's expression changed. He looked at Su Peijian with a somewhat ferocious expression. Su Peijian, how dare you say that? There's nothing I can't say. Su Peijian knew what Hui Yifan was thinking and also knew that this man was not a good person. However, whether it was 3 years ago or 3 years later, he was no match for Hu Jinyao. Looking at this magnanimity, he was far from being able to do so. Hui Yifan, I'm sincerely advising you. If you still want to live a good life in the future, put away all those thoughts in your heart. Old Master Hua is a kind person and still has a kind heart for the younger generation. If you cherish what you have now, there may be a bright future in the future. However, if you insist on doing things your own way, then I can only congratulate you in advance and continue to go back to the prison. You? Hui Yifan couldn't help but want to grab Su Peijian's hand, but she avoided him. For the sake of our acquaintance, I'm just advising you with kind words. Listen or not, it's up to you. As for your thoughts, don't even think about it, because I will never agree to it. Are you really going to be so heartless? Heartless? You can think of it that way. Su Peijian had nothing else to say to Hui Yifan. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Please. All right. Very good. Hui Yifan nodded and glared at Su Peijian fiercely. Since you're heartless, don't blame me for being unjust. Su Peijian, we'll see. We'll see. Su Peijian was never one to be threatened. Hui Yifan turned around and left. Su Peijian sat back down in her office chair. It was already early summer, but she still felt a bit chilly. Su Peijian rubbed the space between her eyebrows tiredly. Her mood was heavy. Hui Yifan was quite capable, but he had a very small heart. The main reason why he couldn't take over the Tianyu group was that he didn't have a broad vision. Su Peijian had noticed his problem a long time ago. At that time, she thought that although he wasn't a good person, at least he had some ability. She didn't expect that after 2 years in prison, Hui Yifan's personality would change completely. With his current ability, it was absolutely impossible for him to shake Hui Jinyao's position. However, Hui Yifan was very likely to play some dirty tricks. If he couldn't touch Hui Jinyao, he was very likely to deal with her. Su Peijian put down her hand. Forget it. She would deal with whatever came her way. If Hui Yifan was tactful, then so be it. If he wasn't, then she wasn't afraid of him. In the next few days, Su Peijian was a little nervous. She wasn't sure how Hui Yifan would do these things with his personality. But no matter what, she was prepared. Things at the company and at home. Xiang Kaiping wasn't old, but she really didn't have much courage now. She didn't want Xiang Kaiping to worry. After waiting for a few days, there was no movement from Hui Yifan. Su Peijian didn't let her guard down. With Hui Yifan's personality, she was afraid that he wouldn't give up easily. She wasn't afraid herself, but if Hui Yifan wanted to deal with her family, it would be a bit of a headache. Thinking of the company's employees going on a trip on Labor Day, Su Peijian signed up for a luxurious tour for the elderly without much hesitation. A luxurious 1-month tour of 10 countries in Europe, with professional tour guides and professional team doctors. There is also a professional interpreter to accompany them the whole time. After Su Peijian introduced the tour to Xiang Kaiping was quite satisfied and didn't refuse. After Su Peijian made the arrangements, she got on the plane to travel. Ling Jing put down the bowl in her hand and looked at Su Peijian in front of her. What's wrong? I saw you spacing out a few times. Su Peijian came back to her senses and found that the bowl was empty. She put down the bowl and her eyes fell on Ling Jing. She didn't know if it was her illusion, but she always felt that since Ling Jing started working, her sloppy temperament seemed to have faded a lot. Why are you staring at me like that? Nothing. Su Peijian shook her head. Something happened at the company. Is the problem serious? It's okay. Su Peijian looked at Ling Jing. Xiang Kaiping had been away for 3 days. This week, everything had been calm. It seemed that Hui Yifan was just saying tough words. He still had scruples. At least, he probably wouldn't want to go in again. I see that you've been spacing out recently. What's wrong? Is the problem serious? No, I can solve it. She didn't care about Hui Yifan. Ling Jing's eyes were full of curiosity as he stared at Su Peijian. Why did he always feel that there was something wrong with Su Peijian recently? Su Peijian felt a little headache when she met Ling Jing's eyes. This person was never afraid of trouble. Even looking at him, he seemed to be a person who couldn't wait to cause trouble. After thinking about it again and again, Su Peijian decided not to tell Ling Jing about it for the time being. First, he was impulsive, and she was afraid that he would cause trouble. Second, Hui Yifan was a person who, since he wanted to benefit from her, would probably talk about the conditions first. Xiang Kaiping was old and couldn't afford to be tossed around. As for Ling Jing, if the other party really wanted to cause trouble for her, then she would talk to him about the conditions. That was what Hui Yifan wanted. If she really couldn't handle it, she would ask Old Master Hui to step in. No matter what, he was a member of the Hui family. She believed that Old Master Hui wouldn't watch his grandson go astray again and do nothing. Is it really that easy to solve? Ling Jing stepped forward, put his arm around her waist, and stroked between her eyebrows with one hand. Your eyebrows can squeeze a mosquito to death. Su Peijian turned to look at him and suddenly smiled. It's really not difficult to solve. If it's difficult to solve, how are you going to help me? Of course Ling Jing was halfway through his words when he suddenly remembered his identity at this time. He got up, stood behind Su Peijian, and put his hands on her shoulders. Of course I can't help you solve it. but I can give you a massage and let you relax. I thank you. How are you going to thank me? How do you want to thank me? What do you think? Su Peijian's thoughts were attracted by Ling Jing's words. Soon, she stopped thinking about it. However, she didn't want to think about it, but Hui Yifan seemed to have begun to take action. After a few days, she received a call from Hui Yifan. What? Do you think I can't do anything to you just because you sent your mother away? Hui Yifan. Su Peijian just didn't want Xiang Kaiping to get involved in these things and worry about them. But it didn't mean that she was really afraid of him. It seems that you are really not afraid of entering the palace again. Entering the palace again? No, no, no. You think too highly of me. Since I'm out, I naturally don't plan to go back in. Then what do you want? I don't want anything. Don't you know my conditions very well? Impossible. Su Qinghui's current projects were all entrusted to her by her father. How could she give the benefits in her hands to Hui Yifan just like that? All right, since you're so determined, then should I give some gifts to your little boyfriend? Hui Yifan. Stop calling him that. I didn't expect that. Your taste is so bad now. How can you like that little punk? Hui Yifan, this is my business. It's none of your business. TSK, that little boyfriend of yours. Not only is he a little punk, but he's also a sugar daddy. Hui Yifan. All right, since we can't come to an agreement, I won't force you. But since the gift has been given, there is no reason for me to take it back. Don't you think so? What on earth do you want? Before Su Peijian could ask, Hui Yifan had already hung up. She clenched her cell phone tightly, and her expression became very ugly at that moment. She grabbed her cell phone and car keys and walked out without thinking. When she saw Zhou Mei, she told her to cancel all her future plans. Su Peijian got into the car and drove very fast. Very fast. She didn't know what Hui Yifan had done. She only knew that if Hui Yifan really touched Ling Jing, she would do everything in her power to send Hui Yifan to prison again. She meant what she said. Su Peijian started to call Ling Jing after she got out of the house, but no one answered. She became more and more worried. She resisted the urge to call the police because she was afraid that Hui Yifan would hurt Ling Jing. The car stopped in front of the bakery, and she rushed in without thinking. Where's Ling Jing? Ling Jing's class seemed to change every week. She was so nervous that she forgot what class he was working that day and came straight over. Ling Jing? The shop assistant was shocked by her and couldn't help but look inside. Manager, someone is looking for Ling Jing. The man's voice was trembling. Soon, a middle-aged man came out. When he saw Su Peijian, he was stunned and then shook his head. Ling Jing is off today. He said he is busy. He is not here. Thank you. Chapter 860. Lu Xiyun sat on the sofa in Rome Garden. She looked at Ling Jing with obvious dissatisfaction in her eyes. When are you going to stop being willful? What is this place? Is it somewhere you can live? Mom, I can't live here. If Lu Xiyun saw the one-bedroom apartment she bought before, would she say it was a dog kennel? Don't call me Mom. Lu Xiyun was furious. Do you still care about me? I asked you to accompany me to the banquet, but you ignored me. I asked you to go home and have a meal with me, but you refused. All right, it was your dad's birthday yesterday, but you only showed your face during the day. You just left? Ling Jing, are we too lenient with you? You're getting more and more out of control. So what if I go back? Ling Jing said disapprovingly. The old man has a lot of people around him, from the eldest to the fifth. Which one of them isn't attentive to him? He doesn't lack people like me. All right. Mom, don't be angry. Anger will make you old. I said, don't call me Mom. Lu Xiyun was furious. Fine. I won't call you Mom. I'll call you sister, okay? Ling Jing smiled cheekily. Ordinary people couldn't stand it. But Lu Xiyun wasn't an ordinary person. Don't joke with me. Tell me honestly, how long do you want to live here? Do you want to go back or not? Do you know who you are? Until when? Ling Jing thought for a moment. Until I marry a wife for you. Marry me? Lu Xiyun looked at Ling Jing with a fake smile. The anger in her eyes deepened. Marry a wife? Or are you playing with me? How come I didn't know that my son would become a gigolo one day? Why don't you tell me? Lu Xiyun's son is actually a gigolo? You're making me proud, aren't you? What's wrong with being a gigolo? Ling Jing thought about how Lu Xiyun took good care of herself. In the past, when people asked, she would deliberately say that she was her brother. "Weren't you the first to treat me as a gigolo?" Ling Jing smiled and hugged Lu Xiyun's waist. "Sister Lu, if you hadn't treated me like a gigolo and raised me since I was young, would I have gone to find another woman to raise me? So it's my fault then?" Lu Xiyun laughed angrily. She used to introduce Ling Jing like that because of the special situation of the Ling family at that time. But this guy, after so many years, still remembered this matter. "Of course it's your fault." Ling Jing leaned over and kissed Lu Xiyun on the face. "Sister Lu, when will you raise me again? I promise I will get rid of all the women outside." "What do you think? You make it sound nice." "Okay, I will raise you again. You can dump this one in front of you first." Lu Xiyun said, half truthfully. He was having fun and was immersed in his role. But because she knew that Lu Xiyun used to be a movie queen, she was addicted to acting. Now that she was addicted to acting, as her son, he could only play along. "Let's do it. I'll dump him later, okay?" "You're bluffing me again." Don't think that she didn't know that this woman, this time, was completely different from the previous women. "I promise I won't bluff. Who can compete with Sister Lu in my heart?" Ling Jing smiled and coaxed Lu Xiyun, trying to coax her away. However, at this moment, from the corner of his eye, he saw Su Peijian standing at the door, and he suddenly froze. She was still holding her phone in one hand and the car keys in the other. There were some thin beads of sweat on her forehead. It could be seen that she had rushed all the way here, and she had walked very fast. The smile on Ling Jing's face froze, and one of his hands was still on Lu Xiyun's shoulder. At this moment, he suddenly retracted it. Why did you come back?" The anxiety on Su Peijian's face faded. After confirming that Ling Jing was fine, she looked at him expressionlessly, and the car key in her palm was tightly gripped by her. She clenched her jaw tightly. She used the slight pain of the edge of the key into her palm to prevent herself from losing her composure. She was looking at Ling Jing, and Ling Jing was also looking at her. She saw a flash of panic in his eyes. Panic? Haha, how ridiculous. The Ling Jing she knew had never looked panicked. She remembered that she had been rushing all the way here and kept calling Ling Jing. And now she saw that Ling Jing's phone was on the coffee table, but he deliberately didn't answer it. She remembered that when she came, she kept calling Hui Yifan, but Hui Yifan just didn't answer. She became more and more afraid. She had once been lost on a fork in her life. She was afraid that she would get lost a second time. She was also afraid that she would not be able to protect the people she cared about. But now, what did she see? She took a deep breath and told herself not to lose her mind when she was impulsive. She told herself that she was not a 17 or 18-year-old girl. She was willing to give Ling Jing a chance and listen to his explanation. The key sank deeper into her palm, and the tingling pain made her withdraw her hand slightly. She glanced at Lu Xiyun, who was next to Ling Jing. "What? Aren't you going to introduce us?" Ling Jing wanted to stand up, but at this time, Lu Xiyun grabbed his arm tightly and didn't let him stand up. He looked at Lu Xiyun and signaled her to let go of him with his eyes. Lu Xiyun didn't wait for him to get up and stood up first. She looked Su Peijian up and down. After 2 rounds, she retracted her gaze and looked at Ling Jing. "Are you with her now?" For the first time in his life, Ling Jing didn't know what to say or what to say. He looked at Su Peijian. Su Peijian had completely entered the door and put down the key and phone. She closed the door and stood in front of the two of them. Looking at Lu Xiyun, who was standing in front of Ling Jing, her eyes turned cold bit by bit. Lu Xiyun looked at Su Peijian in front of her with interest. The corners of her eyes raised. In fact, her eyes were very similar to Ling Jing's. They were both phoenix eyes. However, her eyes were bigger and higher, giving people a more gorgeous feeling. "You are Su Peijian, right? I know you." Lu Xiyun's voice was indifferent. "Ling Jing is with you now, right?" "Yes. Ling Jing is with me now." Su Peijian's voice was unusually calm. "Do you know who Ling Jing is? Are you with him?" Lu Xiyun raised her eyebrows. When she didn't smile, she gave off a sharp feeling. Su Peijian's lips were pursed into a straight line. She had always felt that after nearly 2 years in prison, Nothing could cause her to have too much emotional fluctuations. However, from the moment she entered the door, from the moment she heard what Ling Jing said, she felt as if her heart was being gently clenched by a hand. The hand didn't exert much force, but she began to feel pain. Now, Lu Xiyun's words made her feel that the hand was tightening. She began to feel a little out of breath. Who is he? A gigolo? A hooligan? She paid for him, and he was outstanding. She kept him, and he was kept by her. Wasn't it? Look, you don't even know who he is, and you're with him. Don't you think you're ridiculous? Su Peijian's back was straight. Her pride wouldn't allow her to admit defeat at this time. She couldn't help but look at Ling Jing. What Lu Xiyun said wasn't important. What was important was Ling Jing. It didn't matter if he was a hooligan or a gigolo. Now, in front of her, he was her boyfriend. She had told him that they had a new start. She thought that she and Ling Jing were in an equal relationship. Ever since she brought Ling Jing back to her side, she had been embracing Ling Jing with an extremely tolerant heart. This tolerance was because she treated Ling Jing as her partner. Nothing else. Who are you? She stared at Ling Jing, waiting for him to give her an answer. No matter what the answer was, she wanted to hear him say it clearly. Ling Jing had never thought that he would encounter such a situation one day. He still remembered that he had asked Su Peijian for a promise. At that time, he had hoped that she would give him a chance no matter what he had done. But now, looking at Su Peijian's overly calm face, he couldn't say the promise he had asked her for back then. Who are you? Su Peijian's voice became colder. She stared at Ling Jing's face. At this moment, she seemed to have become the way she was when they first met. Cold, alienated, and emitted a cold temperament. Why are you being so aggressive? Lu Xiyun looked at Su Peijian and felt a little sorry for her. However, although she felt sorry for her, she felt even more sorry for her son. If you want to know the answer, you can't get it by being so aggressive. She turned around and looked at Ling Jing with a playful expression. Jing, tell her. Who are you? Ling Jing couldn't say it. After he got together with Su Peijian, it wasn't that he hadn't thought about what would happen if his identity was exposed one day. But that was definitely not the situation in front of him. Or perhaps he had never thought about it because he didn't dare to think about it. He was really afraid of thinking about it. He had almost understood Su Peijian's personality very well after spending a few months together. She was decisive, resolute, and couldn't be bothered with anything. Jing, why don't you say it? Lu Xiyun clicked her tongue in her heart. She felt that this trip was really worth it. Speaking of which, after Ling Jing grew up, his personality became more and more unpredictable. Sometimes he deliberately pretended to be crazy in front of her and acted like a fool. However, this was the first time she had seen Ling Jing panic like this. After raising her son for so many years, this was the first time she had seen her son show such an expression. Unfortunately, this wasn't the right time. Otherwise, she really wanted to take a picture of it with her camera. Why don't I say it for you? Lu Xiyun was watching the show and didn't mind making things bigger. However, for Ling Jing, he couldn't wait for her to leave now. Shut up. After he shouted this sentence, he realized what he had done. He actually shouted at Lu Xiyun. For a moment, his face was a little gloomy. He glanced at Lu Xiyun, warning her with a hint of pleading. Chapter 861. Are you chasing me away? Lu Xiyun was a movie queen. She was addicted to acting and didn't want to leave. Fisk, you're chasing me away? I'm really hurt. Stop it. Ling Jing didn't even call her mother. Lu Xiyun felt pity for him. She raised her hand and patted his face. All right, since you want to solve it yourself, I'll leave first. I believe you can handle it. But don't let me wait too long. Since her son was rarely so attentive and fell in love with a girl. Then settle it as soon as possible and bring her home. She was waiting to drink her wife's tea. To Su Peijian, the last sentence had two meanings. Her face became colder and colder. Lu Xiyun was done playing. She knew that if she continued, her son would lose face. She smiled and turned to leave. When she passed by Su Peijian, she glanced at her again. Yes, her figure was not bad. She had meat where she should be, and she was thin where she should be. Looking at a certain place, such a figure was very easy to take care of. When her son settled with his wife, she might be able to hold a grandson in 2 years. Thinking of the tender little ball, the smile on Lu Shiyun's face deepened. She turned around and smiled at Ling Jing before leaving. However, that smile, in Su Peijian's eyes, was a provocation. It was a warning. The hand that was clutching her heart began to exert force again. She was in more pain than before. She stood there expressionlessly, watching Lu Xiyun make all kinds of hints to Ling Jing in front of her, watching her provoke her, watching her show the posture of a winner in front of her. She suddenly felt ridiculous. Very ridiculous. Lu Xiyun left. The living room quieted down. Su Peijian looked at Ling Jing and took a step forward. Who is she? And who are you? She felt that the big hand was gripping her hard a little tighter. She took a step forward and looked at Ling Jing coldly. Tell me, who is she and who are you? Ling Jing looked at Su Peijian and his lips moved. He wanted to speak, but he didn't know where to start. He wanted to explain, but he didn't know how to explain. It was a fact that he harbored ill intentions and took the opportunity to get close to her. It was also a fact that he wanted to make Su Peijian fall in love with him and then dump her. In the face of so many facts, all explanations were useless. Given Su Peijian's personality, how could she forgive him? Panic surged in his heart, and he realized that he was one step faster than he thought. She's my mother. There was a moment of silence in the air. Su Peijian thought about what she had heard when she entered the room and thought about Ling Jing's reaction just now. She suddenly smiled. What did you say? You said she's your mother? Yes. Su Peijian blinked as she recalled what she had heard at the reception. She burst out laughing. I really didn't know you had such a hobby. Do you like to call your sugar mommy? What nonsense are you talking about? Ling Jing was irritated by Su Peijian's sharp words. Although Lu Xiyun liked to play around sometimes, she was also a drama queen. But she was his mother. His face darkened. Su Peijian was not afraid at all. She raised her head and looked straight into Ling Jing's eyes. Isn't it a special hobby? Tell me, why don't you call me sister? Ling Jing's face darkened. He took a deep breath and calmed himself down. He knew that Su Peijian was very angry now, and he didn't want to quarrel with her. His eyes wandered around. The screen of his phone, which had been muted and thrown on the coffee table, lit up again. Ling Jing, I'm talking nonsense. Why don't you stop talking nonsense for me to see? Su Peijian's words rang in his ears. He didn't want to explain, so he picked up the phone and didn't wait for him to unlock it. A photo had already popped up on the screen. Looking at the photo, Ling Jing's face changed again. He swiped the screen. Not only that photo, but photos after photos appeared on his phone. Strange numbers kept sending photos, and all the main characters in the photos were only one, Su Peijian. Ling Jing stared at those photos, and his phone gradually tightened. His face gradually turned from black to green, and his gums clenched. One photo after another, until he reached the last one. After every pose of the person in the photo was imprinted in his mind, the storm in his eyes became more and more obvious. Ling Jing, who are you? Who is she? Su Peijian's voice made him raise his head, and he stared at her face. It was a very beautiful face, delicate, cold, arrogant, with personality, and ostentatious. He suddenly raised his hand, and the phone flew out of his palm, hit the wall, and then fell straight to the ground. The force was so great, and the impact was so fierce that the phone fell to the ground and directly broke into pieces. Su Peijian was startled by his sudden action, and the hand that was holding her heart tightly seemed to loosen at this moment. She swallowed her saliva, leaned back a little, and looked at Ling Jing. Ling Jing's face was very ugly. His face was blue, and his fists were clenched tightly. He walked around the coffee table and walked in front of Su Peijian. His tall figure stood in front of her, forming an excellent sense of oppression. Looking at Su Peijian's somewhat frightened face, he told himself that it was okay. This was his plan from the beginning. This was his original plan. Screw his acting, screw his disguise, screw his pretty boy. Everything, until today. At this moment, it would all be over. He stared at Su Peijian's face, and there was a beast in his heart that could no longer be suppressed at this moment. That beast was clamoring to come out. That beast was constantly roaring and roaring. His eyes were bloodshot, and his expression was gloomy. Even Su Peijian was taken aback by Ling Jing's reaction. Aren't you curious about who I am? Aren't you curious about who the woman just now is? I'll tell you. Ling Jing. The Ling Jing in front of her was very strange. Su Peijian wanted to retreat, but her feet seemed to be nailed to the ground. She couldn't move at all. My name is Ling Jing. That's my real name. However, I'm not a pretty boy, and I'm not that woman's pretty boy. She's my mother, my biological mother, the kind that's related by blood. Su Peijian didn't know what to say. Not only could she not move her feet, but she couldn't even make a sound. Right? I've probably never heard of someone like you. However, that sister of yours is still sister, or brother-in-law is still brother-in-law, so he should know who I am. I'm Ling Jing, the young master of the Ling family. You probably don't know what the Ling family does. The entire entertainment industry in Rome City, and even the entire province, belongs to our family. In addition, my old man has a few overseas routes. As for other industries, I can't explain them clearly. There are too many. If you're really interested in knowing more, I can ask my assistant to give you a list. He took a step forward, and Su Peijian took a step back. However, because of her weak legs, she almost fell. Ling Jing clasped her waist, pinched her chin with one hand, and stared at her face coldly. Do you understand? My identity is the young master of the Ling family. Su Peijian couldn't react. At this time, her consciousness was already empty, and she couldn't react at all. The word you was very soft, almost as if it was swallowed in her throat. There were many questions she wanted to ask, many things she wanted to say, but in the end, those words only turned into 3 words. Why? Why? Ling Jing nodded. This was really a good question. You still have a nerve to ask why. Raising his hand to pinch her chin, Ling Jing's eyes were sinister and ruthless. If his subordinates were here, they would know that this was the true face of young Master Ling. He was temperamental, unpredictable, and unpredictable. He was the young master of the Ling family that no one dared to provoke. He was like a demon. Su Peijian, think about what you've done. Ask me why again. Su Peijian didn't understand. Something seemed to be out of control in front of her. There was clearly anxiety and nervousness in Ling Jing's eyes before, but now there was only anger. Anger? What right did he have to be angry? The person who should be angry should be her, right? He lied to her, and it was a lie from the beginning to the end. What right did he have to be angry now? Her expression was confused and a little frightened. That expression greatly pleased Ling Jing. He felt that the beast in his heart had finally been released at this time. He pinched her chin tightly and forcefully. If you forget what you've done, I don't mind reminding you. I'm the dignified young Master Ling, and you're treating me as a sugar baby? You're really capable. Su Peijian's face was pale. Her legs were weak. If it weren't for Ling Jing's hand on the back of her waist, she believed that she would have fallen to the ground. Ling Jing thought about the photos he had seen just now. He thought about Su Peijian being happy under another man. His voice became colder and colder. You don't count as a sugar baby. You can dump me whenever you want. Are you kidding me? Su Peijian gritted her teeth tightly. Looking at Ling Jing, who was completely different from usual, she didn't know how to react. Who do you think you are? Do you think you can fool around with me, young Master Ling? He leaned close to her ear and said with endless malice, word by word, you're just a convict. You're not even fit to carry my shoes. The words convict, coming from someone else's mouth, wouldn't have any effect on Su Peijian. But now, this sentence came from Ling Jing's mouth. She lost her usual calmness and rationality. Her strong heart didn't work at this time. Ling Jing let go of her hand. She, who couldn't stand steadily, staggered and fell to the ground just like that. Ling Jing looked down at her from above, his eyes gloomy and cold. Su Peijian, let me tell you, I've always been the one to fool around with others. No one can fool around with me. You called the start of this game, but the right to end it is in my hands. Lowering his head, he reached out to lift her chin and forced her to look at him. Now I declare, game over. After saying this, he looked at Su Peijian, who was still in a daze. At this moment, where was her usual noble and elegant demeanor? Her face was pale, and her body was shaking like a fallen leaf in the wind. Ling Jing's heart didn't calm down because he released the beast. Instead, he became even more annoyed. Chapter 862. The man's footsteps faded into the distance, accompanied by the sound of the door slamming. The living room quieted down. Su Peijian sat there. His body, which had been startled by the news, finally reacted at this moment. The hand that held her heart finally turned into a sharp knife and pierced into her heart. A sharp pain spread from the place where her heart was pierced, flowing along her blood to her limbs and bones. Her body fell to the ground, and her entire body was in pain. She trembled in pain. In the intense pain, Ling Jing's words were like echoes, ringing in her ears over and over again. I, the dignified young Master Ling, am being kept by you as a gigolo? You're really capable. Keeping me doesn't count. You can dump me whenever you want. Are you playing with me? Who do you think you are? Do you think you can play with me, young Master Ling? You're just a convict. You're not even fit to carry my shoes. Su Peijian, let me tell you, I've always been the one playing with people. No one can play with me. You called the start of this game, but the right to end it is in my hands. Now I declare, game over. Ah, she knew that she had an unbearable past. She knew that she had experienced the darkest time of her life. She used to think that she was prepared. Even if thousands of people criticized her, she would not retreat. However, when Ling Jing spat out the words convict, she seemed to be unable to stop herself from bleeding. That man was the person she loved now. Yes, she fell in love with Ling Jing. She didn't know when it started, but Ling Jing became more and more important in her heart. She broke her principles again and again for him. She gave in again and again for him. She even thought about the future for him. She clearly knew that their identities were so incompatible. She clearly knew what would happen if she brought Ling Jing to Xiang Kaiping, but she still chose to do so, abandoning the best option. She fell in love with an uncertain factor like Ling Jing, and now she suffered a backlash. The great pain swept over her like a monstrous wave. For the first time, she lost her vitality. She was like a boat swaying in the wind, being ruthlessly beaten by the waves and finally dismembered. She laid on the ground powerlessly, feeling the uncontrollable pain once again spreading from her body to her heart, feeling the pain of her bleeding heart. The strong will he had been putting up for so long had completely collapsed at this moment. The intense pain made her a little confused, and she touched her phone in a daze. She didn't know if it was subconscious or something else, but she pressed the number that she knew by heart. She didn't care if the call was connected or not. Unable to hold the phone in his hand, he dropped it on the ground. She raised her hand to cover the position of her heart and kept whispering, "It hurts. It hurts. It hurts so much. It was really painful. I'm about to die from the pain. Why is it so painful? My whole body hurts, Really, it's so painful. It hurts too much. Mom, it hurts." Su Peijian was half asleep when she heard someone knocking on the door. Her entire body was in pain. Not only did it hurt, but her body also felt weak. She didn't want to pay attention to the knocking at the door at all. However, the person seemed to be very persistent and kept knocking on the door. She forced herself to get up from the ground and dragged her head, which was as heavy as a rock, to open the door. The moment the door opened, she couldn't hold on anymore and directly fell down again. "Peijian?" In a voice full of worry, she was hugged into a warm chest, and she heard a voice that she was already very familiar with. "Peijian? Peijian, are you okay? Peijian?" That familiar voice and care made her whole body relax. So tired, so sleepy. It would be fine after a good sleep. Sleep. Relaxing herself, she allowed the darkness to envelop her consciousness. Su Peijian was awakened by a very soft conversation. She was very familiar with that voice. "Didn't you say that you would come to see her when you were free? Is that how you see her?" "How would I know?" "How would you know? You don't know anything. What kind of father are you? You don't know that your daughter is in a relationship, and you don't know that your daughter broke up? You don't even know that your daughter is sad because of her injury." What? What? You've been acting for decades, and now you don't want to act anymore? Qinxue, what do you mean by that? What do you mean I've been acting for decades? Isn't it? Don't think that I'll forgive you for what you did in the past, just because you treat Qing Sang well now. If you can't be consistent, why did you care so much about her in the past? I've been busy recently and didn't have time to take care of her. Busy? Don't make excuses for yourself. You just don't care about it. Okay, it's all my fault. Don't be angry. You flew all the way here and didn't sleep for the whole night. Aren't you tired? Rest for a while. I'll go buy you something to eat. What else to eat? I'm so angry that I'm full. If you're really that angry, just hit me twice. Hit you? I don't want my hands to be tired. The argument was very weak. Su Peijian listened to the two voices in a daze. When she heard it clearly, she woke up. When she opened her eyes, the two people who were arguing had stopped. A pair of very warm hands held her hand. Li Qianxue sat down by the bed and stared at her. Her eyes were a little worried. You're awake? Are you okay? The moment Su Peijian saw Li Qianxue, she was completely stunned. Just now, she thought she was dreaming, but everything in front of her told her that she wasn't dreaming. Her lips moved, but she couldn't say the word mother. Auntie, why are you here? The word Annie made Li Qianxue's expression change slightly. For a moment, she looked at Su Peijian, as if she was a little helpless. You've already called me on my cell phone. Why do you think I'm here? Su Peijian was stunned. The last memory was that she didn't know how to dial the number and the continuous cries of pain. She seemed to have recalled something, and her heart started to ache sharply again. There was a glass of water beside her lips, and she was helped to sit up. Li Qianxue looked at her like this, and no matter how angry she was, she couldn't vent it. Drink some water. You have a fever, and your body is very weak now. Li Qianxue's voice didn't sound emotional. Su Peijian sat there and let her feed her until the last drop of water. When the warm water entered her throat, she couldn't help but look up at Li Qianxue. She was as noble and elegant as ever, but there was a little more gentleness in her eyes than before. It was probably because she was living well now. She looked down. Before she could react, emotionally, Li Qianxue spoke first. Chapter 863. Su Peijian leaned on the hospital bed. When she met Li Qianxue's cold eyes, she suddenly didn't know what to say. What should she say? That she was abandoned by a man? That she accidentally provoked a man, but that man was just playing with her? That she fell in love with him, but that man just wanted to take revenge on her for being blind for a moment? Su Peijian couldn't say it. She sat there, shrouded in gloom. Li Qianxue winked at Su Chenghui behind her. Su Chenghui smiled at Su Peijian and then went out. After he left, Li Qianxue's face became serious. She turned to look at Su Peijian. Say it. Say what? Su Peijian didn't understand. Li Qianxue didn't let her play dumb and went straight to the point. Who is that man? Su Peijian's face didn't look good. She lowered her head and didn't know what to say. What? You don't want to admit it? To be able to make a woman like this, what else could it be other than a broken heart? Even if she wasn't the child. No matter what, she was the child she raised. Li Qianxue thought she knew Su Peijian very well. Su Peijian didn't lack money. She heard that she did a good job in the company. Seeing her half dead yesterday, Li Qianxue could only guess that she was broken up. She wanted to know which damn man made Su Peijian like this. No man. Su Peijian clenched her hands. She didn't look at Li Qianxue's eyes. There was a flash of determination in her eyes. No man. She just didn't feel well yesterday. She heard herself murmur. Li Qianxue looked at Su Peijian and seemed a little helpless. She reached out and held Su Peijian in her arms. Su Peijian's body became extremely stiff in an instant. The tip of her nose was the smell that she used to be very familiar with. She was patted on the back by a hand. Li Qianxue's voice sounded a little helpless. Peijian, I hope you remember. You are the daughter of the Su family, and you will always be. Holding Su Peijian, Li Qianxue felt a little sad. However, she restrained that emotion. Don't bear it alone. No matter when, whether it's me or your father, we will help you. Su Peijian felt a lump in her throat. She buried her head in Li Qianxue's arms, sniffed, and nodded hard. She didn't say anything, but Li Qianxue understood everything. Holding the child that she had raised with her own hands, she felt a little sad. The atmosphere in the ward was silent. Su Peijian felt a little embarrassed. He pushed Li Qinxue away slightly. Li Qinxue let go of her hand and looked at her with heartache. Rest well, you're still sick. What do you want to eat? I'll have someone bring it to you. How about shrimp congee? Su Peijian didn't say anything and just nodded again. Child, you're really... He did not finish his sentence. Li Qinxue got up and went to the door to inform Su Chenghui. Su Chenghui nodded and planned to go by himself. Only, she's emotionally unstable. Li Qinxue's eyes swept over him, and a fierce look appeared on her face. What do you mean? Are you afraid that I still remember the past? Humph. Su Chenghui, if I want to remember something, I should remember what you did. What does it have to do with my daughter? How'd I mean that? Su Chenghui felt wronged. I was afraid that you would think too much. Don't think that he didn't know that when Li Qinxue heard him call her Annie just now, she might have taken it to heart. All right, isn't it still a sin? Li Qinxue glared at Su Chenghui, her eyes filled with dissatisfaction. Su Chenghui was afraid that she would bring up the past. He quickly begged for mercy. Chapter 864. It was your fault in the first place. Is it my fault? Yes. My wife won't be wrong. Su Chenghui coaxed Li Qinxue. Li Qinxue didn't even look at him and went straight back to the ward. Su Peijian seemed to have calmed down. She leaned on the bed and didn't know what she was thinking. She didn't speak, and Li Qinxue wasn't in a hurry. She just poured her a glass of water. Thank you. Su Peijian took the water and was about to call her mom out of habit, but she held back. She didn't speak, and Li Qinxue didn't speak either. The mother and daughter, who used to be related, looked at each other in silence. Su Peijian finished the water and was about to put the glass down. Li Qinxue took the initiative to take it and put it aside. Her action made Su Peijian's nose sour again. When had Li Qinxue ever taken care of anyone before? But in the past, whenever she felt uncomfortable, the person who took care of her had always been Li Qinxue. Li Qinxue had never asked anyone else to take care of her. Her nose started to sting again. She didn't expect that she would call Li Qinxue subconsciously. However, the call had already been made, and the incident had already happened. It was obviously too late for her to take back the phone call. She had always imagined that the reunion would be after she had a good life and had completely let go. She hoped to see those people who existed in her memory again. Not like now, when she was caught off guard, and when she was at her most pathetic state. She bit her lip and felt very complicated. There was always a kind of child who ran away from home, wanted to make a name for herself in front of adults, but she didn't expect to be down and out. Li Qinxue looked at her and reached out to hold her hand. If you don't tell me who that man is, I won't ask. You're old enough to take care of yourself. If you feel uncomfortable staying in Rome City, go back to Lin City. Her voice paused here. Your room has always been kept at home. Nanny Zhang will clean it every day. I was serious when I said that. No matter when, you are the daughter of the Su family. This was already a kind of acknowledgement. No matter when, as long as Su Peijian wanted, she could go home at any time. Su Peijian's lips were tightly pressed into a straight line, and finally, she nodded hard. She didn't know what she could say. When Li Qinxue was so angry, she thought she would never forgive herself. His throat was a little choked, and he only felt that it was very difficult. Li Qinxue held her hand tightly again. She patted the back of her hand gently. What a silly child. Li Qinxue looked at Su Peijian with heartache, sadness, and many other emotions that she couldn't put into words. She used to think that she would be angry for the rest of her life, but in fact, she was really not angry at Su Peijian. Back then, when he announced that he was severing ties with her, it was also because of a moment of anger. But in the end, he was still a child raised by himself. At that time, he had been so focused on Su Chenghui that he had neglected Su Peijian's feelings. It was her fault that her child had gone astray. Peijian, sorry. This sudden apology took Su Peijian by surprise. Li Qinxue's lips curled into a smile, and there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. I was so mad at your father. It's my fault for not taking care of your feelings. Su Peijian didn't know how to respond to Li Qinxue's question. She just stared at her blankly. Li Qianxue reached out and tucked her hanging hair behind her ear. You are the child I raised. I should have trusted you. I didn't take good care of you. I didn't care about you. That's why you went astray. Su Peijian bit her lip and shook her head desperately. It wasn't like that. It really wasn't like that. Just like Su Qingsang said, she was just selfish and narrow-minded. She didn't want to share. If you don't want to call me Mom, I'll accept it. But don't scare me like this next time. Li Qianxue couldn't deny that the moment she received Su Peijian's call, she was shocked at first, but then her heart ached. She had raised her pampered daughter. Even though they had broken off their relationship, when had she ever suffered like this? When had she ever cried out in pain like this? Not to mention that Su Peijian was naturally very strong. When she was young, she never cried when she had a cold or a fever. She was proud and flamboyant, and she would not easily show her pain in front of others. When she received the call, she really didn't care about anything else. She booked the nearest plane ticket and flew over. She was also glad that she came. Otherwise, she didn't know what Su Peijian would have done. This child was very stubborn. She probably didn't want Xiang Kaiping to know. Su Peijian kept shaking her head. She wanted to say that she didn't call her mom because she wasn't sure if she still had the right to do so, but she couldn't say those words. Her throat felt uncomfortable as if it was blocked by something. She could only look at Li Qianxue with tears in her eyes. She wanted to call Li Qianxue, but Su Chenghui came back with the porridge he had specially bought. Have some porridge. You're still very weak. Have a good rest after eating it. Let's talk about it when you are better. Su Peijian couldn't say a word other than nodding. She looked at Li Qianxue's beautiful face and really wanted to call her mom, but she couldn't. Su Peijian still had a fever. After eating the porridge that Su Chenghui brought, she fell asleep again in a daze. When she was half asleep, she felt that someone was coming. When she opened her eyes, she found that it was Su Qingsang. She had also come to see her. Hu Jiniao stood outside the door with a cold face and didn't come in. Hu Jiniao still couldn't forget what Su Peijian had done to Su Qingsang. Su Qingsang could let it go, but he couldn't. However, since Su Qingsang wanted to see her, he could only let her go. It was impossible for him to let go, forgive, or even accept Su Peijian. Su Chenghui knew what Hu Jiniao was thinking and called him outside. No one knew what he said, but when he came back, Hu Jiniao's face looked slightly better. Hu Jiniao and his wife left. Li Qianxue returned to the bed and sat down. She reached out and held Su Peijian's hand. Qingsang is a good child. You should know a little about her personality. If anything happens next time, if I'm not in Rome City, you could go to Qingsang and Hu Jiniao. Even if we are not here, he will help you. Su Peijian didn't say anything. Some things couldn't be done with help from others. How could others help her when it came to matters of the heart? She could only blame herself for being as blind as a bat. Thinking of Ling Jing, Su Peijian's heart ached again. Ling Jing, Ling Jing. These two words had become a knife. As long as it was mentioned, it would hurt. Li Qianxue couldn't bear to see her like this. She wanted to say a lot, but in the end, she could only sigh. The mother and daughter couldn't go back to the past. Ling Jing sat behind his desk. In front of him was a pile of documents waiting for him to solve, but he only felt annoyed. He didn't want to deal with these business matters at all. He didn't want to sit here at all. He resisted the urge to sweep all the things on the table to the ground. He got up and walked to the window. Chapter 865. He had the urge to destroy everything in his heart. It was at this time that the ancient cultivator ran into his muzzle. Young master, Gu Xiu's expression was solemn as he approached Ling Jing. Shen Lefyu went out. Ling Jing narrowed his eyes. Went out? That was interesting. Where did she go? Our people have been watching her. She seems to be going to third young master's villa. Ling Jing smiled with a bloodthirsty, murderous intent in his eyes. If that's the case, what are we waiting for? Let's go. Gu Xiu looked at Ling Jing's expression and felt a chill on the back of his neck. Shen Lefyu looked at the man in front of her. Her brother asked her to find this person. He said that as long as she found him, he would find a way to save her brother. She had tried before. Originally, he wanted Ling Jing to let him go, but Ling Jing was too difficult to control. She was temperamental and unpredictable. She had tried several times, but Ling Jing never let her go. She had no choice. No matter what, she had to save her brother. Third young master of the Ling family, Ling Yu. He was the one who asked his brother to kill Ling Jing. Since that was the case, he had to be responsible for his brother and save him. Ever since Ling Yu instructed Shun Jing to kill Ling Jing, he had been very nervous, afraid that Shun Jing would give him up. But he really couldn't wait. He was afraid that Ling Jing would find out and tell the old man. Fortunately, it had been a few months and Ling Jing hadn't done anything. He had already been relieved. He didn't expect Shun Lefyu to come to him. The moment he saw Shun Lefyu, he didn't feel pity for her. He only felt annoyed. It was not easy for this matter to pass like this. Ling Jing, that kid, had not made any movements recently. What if Ling Jing found out that Shun Lefyu came here? What are you doing here? Third young master, please save my brother. Please save my brother. Shun Lefyu cried as soon as she saw Ling Yu. My brother was caught by young Master Ling because he did things for you. You must save my brother. Ling Yu was annoyed to see this person. Are you crazy? Why are you begging me? I haven't blamed your brother for his incompetence, and you still have a nerve to come to me? But my brother was caught by Ling Jing to do things for you. You must save him. Let me tell you, your brother isn't dead yet. If I want to save him, wouldn't I be giving Ling Jing something to use against me? Do you think I'm stupid? Ling Yu would never save Shun Jing. If your brother is dead, then so be it. What does it have to do with me? Third young master, you can't do this. Third young master. Shun Lefyu still wanted to say something, but Ling Yu had lost his patience. Don't come here and be an eyesore. Third young master, my brother got into trouble because he was doing things for you. I don't care, you must save him. Shun Lefyu went forward to hug Ling Yu's thigh. Ling Yu lifted his leg to kick her to the side, but Shun Lefyu hugged him so tightly that he couldn't kick her away. Ling Yu was furious. He looked at his subordinates and said, Are you dead? Don't you know how to pull this person away? Third brother doesn't know how to have tender and protective feelings for the fairer sex. Even I want to avenge him. Ling Jing's sudden voice made Ling Yu freeze. He looked at Ling Jing, as if he didn't understand why he suddenly appeared. Behind Ling Jing, in addition to Gu Xiao, were nearly 10 subordinates, all dressed in black suits and ties. Ling Jing was the only one. He wore a white suit but a dark purple tie. He looked like a little prince who walked out of a painting, but there was a hint of evil in him. When he raised his beautiful phoenix eyes, they looked like they were smiling, but they were full of malice. You, why are you here? Ling Yu suddenly felt uncomfortable when he saw him. Isn't third brother in the middle of a drama? Since it's a drama, I, as his younger brother, naturally have to come and watch. As Ling Jing spoke, he walked to the sofa. The subordinate behind her pretended to brush the sofa a few times, and then Ling Jing sat down. He looked up and saw Shun Lefyu trembling beside him. He curled his lips, and the evil in his eyes deepened. Continue. Why did you stop? The scene in the living room was very strange. Shun Lefyu, who had been hugging Ling Yu's thigh, didn't dare to do so anymore. She withdrew her hands and shrunk there, looking even more pitiful. Ling Jing rubbed his temples and looked at Gu Xiao behind him. He received a signal from his eyes and waved his hand. Immediately, 2 subordinates pulled Shun Lefyu away. Shun Lefyu's body had completely lost its strength and was limp. If it weren't for the people holding her, she would have already slipped to the ground. Third brother. Ling Jing looked at Ling Yu and clicked his tongue. Look at how soft-hearted you are. This woman came to pester you, so just pull her out. Why are you wasting so much time talking? Ling Yu didn't know what Ling Jing was doing, so he didn't dare to move at all. Ling Jing moved her fingers, and the subordinate standing next to Shun Lefyu punched Shun Lefyu's abdomen. She screamed and curled up. Another subordinate punched her again, and blood flowed from the corner of Shun Lefyu's mouth. Ling Jing looked at Ling Yu. Third brother, did you see that? Ling Yu swallowed his saliva. He was really scared by Ling Jing. Ling Jing, you, what did I do? What are you doing, third brother? I didn't ask someone to assassinate you, right? I didn't ask someone to bribe your subordinates to stab you in the back, right? So why are you so scared? Shun Lefyu had already fallen to the ground. The two subordinates let go and looked at Ling Yu together. Ling Yu's legs were a little weak. Ling Jing, what you want? What do I want? That's a good question. Ling Jing didn't know what he wanted to do. He was just angry, and wanted to kill someone. He had nowhere to vent the anger in his heart. His fingers moved again, and the two subordinates stood in front of Ling Yu. Ling Jing, don't you dare. I'm your brother, Ling Yu shouted. Ling Yu screamed. Two of his subordinates had already picked up his body from both sides. He hurriedly looked behind him. Are you guys dead? Hurry up and pull me away. When the subordinates behind Ling Yu were about to get up, the remaining 8 people that Ling Jing brought with him stood forward and formed a human wall. Ling Jing stood up and looked at Ling Yu. He walked toward him step by step. Third brother, you know I have a bad temper. Ling Jing, are you crazy? What do you want? Ling Jing clenched his fists and punched Ling Yu's abdomen. The punch was fast, heavy, and ruthless. Ling Yu's body curled up. Ling Jing reached out and picked up the front of his shirt. I'll do it myself. I'm giving you face, right? Another punch, and a few more punches. Ling Yu had already fallen. He fell, but Ling Jing didn't plan to stop attacking. He raised his foot and pressed it against Ling Yu's chest, the tip of his shoe stuck in his neck. Ling Yu had difficulty breathing. He looked at Ling Jing, panting heavily. You dare. Dare what? Ling Jing smiled carelessly. You want to ask me if I dare to kill you? Do you want to try? If I really kill you, what will happen to the old man? Ling Jing. Ling Yu shouted, but soon he couldn't say anything. His face was red, and he just stared at Ling Jing. Ling Jing pushed his shoe forward, and Ling Yu's face had already turned purple. He pulled Ling Jing's foot away, but Ling Jing stuck it tightly. He let go of his foot when his hand was about to touch him. He took a step to the side and looked down at Ling Yu's changed color and twisted facial features. Third brother, you know I have a bad temper. I'm not afraid of killing you. If I really kill you, the old man will have to clean up the mess for me. Do you believe me? Ling Yu coughed nonstop, and tears started to fall from the corners of his eyes. He just looked at Ling Jing with resentment in his eyes, but he didn't say a word. Ling Jing felt bored. It was really too boring. He rubbed his shoe against Ling Yu's body, turned around, and took a step back. He moved his fingers and planned to leave. Shun Lefyu, who had been lying on the ground, seemed to have found an opportunity. She used all her strength to hug Ling Jing's leg. Young Master Ling, I beg you, let my brother go. It's all third young master's orders. It has nothing to do with my brother. I'm begging you. She had been punched twice, and her face was pale. She looked very weak. Ling Jing was about to leave, but when he looked at Shun Lefyu's eyes, he suddenly thought of Su Peijian. That day, she also fell to the ground like this. If he had left a little later, would he have seen her crying and begging him like this? Ling Jing didn't know. He closed his eyes, and when he lowered his head again, there was no fluctuation in his eyes. He shook off Shun Lefyu's hand and walked out, but when he passed by Guxiu, he said 2 words. Take her away. Su Peijian stayed in the hospital for 2 days. Li Qianxue and Su Chenghui stayed with her. 2 days later, she recovered. She left the hospital and returned to Rome Garden. Li Qianxue didn't agree at first. She was afraid that she couldn't take care of herself, so she wanted her to go to the whole family. However, Su Peijian refused. When she recovered, she wanted to go to the company. Li Qianxue and Su Chenghui couldn't stay in Rome City all the time. They had their own things to do in Lin City. After hiring a housekeeper to take care of Su Peijian and telling her to pay attention to her 3 meals and take good care of herself, Su Chenghui and Li Qianxue left. Su Peijian didn't see Li Qianxue off. Knowing that she was going back to Lin City, she had a lot to say to her, but in the end, she just didn't say anything. She watched Li Qianxue and Su Chenghui get into the car that Hu Jinyao had arranged. When Li Qianxue was about to get into the car, she ran back and hugged Su Peijian. All right, I'm leaving. If there's anything, tell your father and me. You can also find Qing Seng. Hu Jinyao also promised to take good care of you. Don't bear it alone. If he could handle it, he would. If he couldn't, he would go home. Got it? Yes. Su Peijian's nose was sore. She nodded heavily, hugged Li Qianxue, and quickly let go. Li Chinchua let go of her, turned around, and got into the car to leave. Chapter 866. The weather was good. Su Peijian looked up at the blue sky. This time, she didn't feel abandoned. She knew that she wasn't alone. Other than Xiang Kaiping, she had Su Changhui and Li Chinchua. What happened yesterday was like yesterday's death, and what happened today was like today's life. From now on, Su Peijian, be strong and pull yourself together. You'll be the old Su Peijian again. Taking a deep breath, Su Peijian got in her car and drove to the company. When she passed by the bakery, she glanced at it subconsciously. The shop was still there, but everything had become a joke. It was really ridiculous. Su Peijian looked away and never looked in that direction again. Everything was over. Su Peijian's life returned to normal. Every day, she went to work, got off work, and went home. She didn't see Ling Jing again. Half a month later, Ling Kaiping came back. She had a lot of fun this time and brought a lot of gifts for Su Peijian. She almost filled Su Peijian's bed. Peijian, Xiang Kaiping, went out to have fun. She was always with people around her age. Since they were all together, the most they talked about was their children. He had gone out to see a different world and come into contact with different people. Xiang Kaiping finally figured some things out. After showing Su Peijian the gifts, she took her hand to sit on the bed and patted the back of her hand. Mom has thought it through. If you don't like Feishing, so be it. You could be with whoever you like. If you don't want to get married, then don't. As long as you're happy. I used to worry that no one would take care of you. But now I realize that you can actually take good care of yourself. Since that's the case, I have nothing to worry about. Xiang Kaiping said this and sighed. No matter what, as long as you're happy. Su Peijian looked at Xiang Kaiping's hand. She knew that Xiang Kaiping loved her too. She lowered her head and blinked. When she looked up at Xiang Kaiping again, there was a bright smile in her eyes. Mom, thank you, but don't worry. It's not that I don't want to get married, but I don't think I've met anyone I like yet. As long as I do, I'll get married. Okay, Mom believes you. My daughter naturally has good taste. It's just that those stinking brats aren't worthy of her. Su Peijian smiled and looked into Xiang Kaiping's eyes. For the first time, she took the initiative to lean on her shoulder. She looked at an unknown point and murmured, Mom, don't worry. I'll be happy. Not long after Xiang Kaiping came back, the duplex that Su Peijian had bought had already been renovated. Su Peijian planned to air the house to get rid of the smell before moving in. She had ordered the furniture online, and when it was delivered, she happened to be free, so she went there herself. Su Peijian walked out of the new house and was about to return to the company when she realized that it was already evening. Instead of returning to the company, he chose to return to the villa. Because Xiang Kaiping had talked things out with her the last time she came back, their relationship had improved quite a bit. She would be able to get along with Xiang Kaiping better. Occasionally, she would receive a call from Su Qinghui and Li Qianxue, who were concerned about her. She would only say that she was fine. Other than telling them that she was safe, she did not say anything else. Time went by unhurriedly for a month. Su Peijian only realized that summer had arrived when everyone on the street had changed into short-sleeved shirts. She had bought all the furniture, and everything in the new house was ready. Xiang Kaiping had taken the initiative to do this. Su Peijian was restless now, so it was good to find her something to do. When she got up in the morning, she changed into her sportswear and ran outside. Halfway through, she met the golden retriever again. The golden retriever was very excited to see her. When it wanted to pounce on her again, someone pulled its leash. When she saw Lin Feishing again, Su Peijian did not feel embarrassed at all. She nodded and was about to leave. Unexpectedly, Lin Feishing stopped her. Peijian. Yes. What? You can't even be a friend now that you can't be a lover? Lin Feishing joked. Su Peijian felt a little helpless. I didn't mean that. That's good. Lin Feishing smiled. Recently, our company has a case that I think you should be interested in. What do you think? Do you want to pick a time to talk? Sure. Su Peijian wouldn't turn down such an opportunity. When is it convenient for you? She asked. How about tomorrow? Okay. After making an appointment with Lin Feishing, Su Peijian continued to run back. leaving Lin Feixing standing behind her and looking at her back for a long time. Finally, he lowered his head and rubbed the head of the golden retriever under his feet. Dian Dian, have you noticed that she's a little different? As for what was different, Lin Feixing could not tell. Su Peijian did not know the changes in the eyes of others. To her, life was the same as when she had just been released from prison. After making an appointment with Lin Feixing, the two of them agreed to meet at a club that night. Su Peijian could roughly guess Lin Feixing's hidden thoughts, so she did not refuse. The two of them arrived at the club. After entering the private room, they were not in a hurry to talk about the cooperation. They talked for a while about the recent situation and the progress of the previous case. Lin Feixing was a very chatty person. There was no need to worry about not having a topic to talk with him. The two of them talked for a while, and Lin Feixing's phone rang. He politely stood up and said that he had to go outside to make a call. Su Peijian gestured for him to do as he pleased and let him go. While she was waiting, she took out her phone, replied to a few emails, and made 2 more calls. Finally, when she finished scrolling through her WeChat moments, she realized that Lin Feixing had not returned yet. Puzzled, she stood up and went outside to look for him. After searching for a while, Su Peijian finally stood outside the men's bathroom and took out her phone to call Lin Feixing. The person who answered the phone was not Lin Feixing. It was an unfamiliar voice. "The gentleman you're looking for is on the top floor. Miss, you can come up directly to him." Top floor? Su Peijian did not know what Lin Feixing was doing up there. She returned to the private room. Not quite sure what had happened to him, she picked up her bag and went up to the top floor. The dining area was on the 2nd and 3rd floors, and the entertainment facilities were on the 4th to 7th floors. The 8th floor and above were guest rooms, and the top floor seemed to be a presidential suite. What was Lin Feixing doing here? Su Peijian was a little uncertain. She believed that Lin Feixing was not a casual person, but she went upstairs and got out of the elevator. There was only one door. Su Peijian looked at the door, walked up, and pressed the doorbell. The door opened quickly, and a man she did not know stood inside. Gu Xiu looked at the man in front of him. The man took a step back and said, "Miss Su, please." Su Peijian looked at him uncertainly and then walked in. There was a row of men in black standing on both sides of the door, and they looked like bodyguards. Passing through the row of people, Su Peijian saw Ling Jing sitting in the middle of the raised living room. Beside him were 2 young women, one on his left and the other on his right. One was pouring wine into his glass, and the other was feeding a piece of fruit into Ling Jing's mouth. The moment she saw Ling Jing, Su Peijian felt as if her heart was being squeezed again. The hand was very strong, and her heart began to ache. She clenched her teeth and suppressed the pain. Ling Jing was wearing a black shirt, and the top 2 buttons had been unbuttoned by him. His muscular chest was exposed. He leaned against the back of the sofa, relaxed and leisurely, eating the fruit that the woman next to him fed into his mouth, the corners of his eyes raised with a somewhat evil smile. This was Ling Jing, the young master of the Ling family. This was his real face. Su Peijian suddenly had this realization. Taking a deep breath, she turned around and wanted to leave. The 2 black-robed men at the side blocked her way at this time. She looked at the 2 people in front of her and had to turn around to face Ling Jing. "What? Aren't you curious about where that pretty boy is now?" The sudden question made Su Peijian suddenly understand. Why wasn't Lin Feixing the person who answered the phone? What did you do to him? Looking at the situation today, it was not difficult to guess who was behind Lin Feixing not returning to the private room. Why don't you guess? Ling Jing's nonchalant tone was really infuriating. The woman next to him handed him a glass of red wine, and he directly drank it from her hand. The way he looked at her was full of provocation. Su Peijian stood there motionlessly, her hands hanging by her side, tightly clenched into fists. "What on earth do you want?" "What do I want?" "That is really a good question." Ling Jing frowned as if he had thought of something. "Woman, I remember I said that one day I will make you beg me. Beg me, and I will let him go. How about that?" "Crazy." Su Peijian didn't even have the intention to stop. She turned around and continued to walk. At this moment, the big screen next to her lit up. She turned around and glanced at the screen. On the screen, Lin Feixing was tied up, The corner of his mouth was bleeding, and there were a few bruises on his face. It was obvious that he had been beaten. Su Peijian couldn't move. Ling Jing had dealt with Lin Feixing because of her. She couldn't just leave like this. She gritted her teeth, took a deep breath, and let the pain in her heart spread again. She forced herself to look extremely calm and turned to face Ling Jing. Ling Jing, if you have any anger, take it out on me. He is just an irrelevant person. It's an irrelevant person. Ling Jing raised his eyebrows because of her words. But just now, he bumped into me and hurt my shoulder. I just called him over to teach him a lesson. Can I? Yes, of course. Su Peijian could see Ling Jing's power, and that this was Ling Jing's territory. Su Peijian nodded. Then, may I ask if young Master Ling is done teaching him a lesson? Can you let him go now? No, Ling Jing said rather shamelessly. I have to let him know how powerful I am, right? Know how powerful Ling Jing was? She knew all too well. How could a person like Lin Feixing survive in Ling Jing's hands? Su Peijian couldn't even adjust her breathing. She couldn't help but take a step forward, her bright face full of sharpness. Chapter 867. The atmosphere in the private room was a bit depressing. The 2 rows of bodyguards behind her and the scene of Lin Feixing being beaten on the big screen made Su Peijian feel that the Ling Jing in front of her was no longer the hooligan she had picked up. It was the same person, but it gave people a completely different feeling. This wasn't a Ling Jing she knew. This was a stranger. She stood there and looked at Ling Jing coldly, waiting for him to say something to humiliate or embarrass her. That was Ling Jing's goal. What did it matter if he only said a few words to her? Didn't I say it just now? Beg me. Ling Jing spread his hands and said indifferently, If you beg me, I'll let him go. Su Peijian clenched her fists. I beg you. Wasn't that what he wanted? She gave it to him. She looked at him coldly. Even when she said the word beg, there was a hint of arrogance in her eyes. Ling Jing suddenly smiled. That smile was very sarcastic. Is this your attitude when you beg people? Okay. Su Peijian clenched her fists and nodded heavily. Then I wonder, how does young Master Ling want me to beg you? Ling Jing looked at her. He watched her beg him for another man. He watched her stand in front of him with a cold face, as if she was not affected at all. The malice in his eyes deepened. He looked up at Su Peijian and glanced at the coffee table in front of him. Simple. See this bottle of wine on the table? You drank it all. Let's forget about what happened today. Su Peijian glanced at the coffee table. Ling Jing was talking about vodka. Drink the whole bottle of vodka? He was really imaginative. If I finish this wine, let's forget about what happened today, right? She took a step forward and looked at Ling Jing coldly, making the final confirmation. Yes. Ling Jing seemed to be annotating her own words. As long as you drink this bottle of wine. As long as you drink this bottle of wine, I'll let bygones be bygones. How about that? Okay. Su Peijian didn't even frown. She nodded to show that she understood. She went forward and picked up the bottle. She didn't even need a glass. She directly put the bottle to her mouth and began to drink. When the strong liquor entered the throat, it actually made people feel uncomfortable. Su Peijian took a few sips and almost choked. She gritted her teeth and endured it. Soon, not only did her throat feel uncomfortable, but her stomach also began to feel uncomfortable. Half of the wine in the bottle was gone, but she continued. Ling Jing sat there and looked at them coldly. Her hands on her knees were clenched into fists. The woman beside him fed him wine. He opened his lips mechanically and drank it. He felt that the wine was a little bitter. 2/3 of the vodka was gone, but Su Peijian was still drinking. Some of the wine flowed out of the corner of her mouth. It slid down her beautiful neck and into her clothes. She was wearing a white silk shirt today, and the light texture was easily wet by the wine. The dampness on his white clothes became more and more obvious. Ling Jing's face couldn't be more gloomy. He watched as Su Peijian finished the last of her wine. Finally, he put the bottle down. The bottle clinked on the table. Young Master Ling, is this okay? Su Peijian, who had drunk a bottle of white wine in one breath, looked very ugly. Not only was her face swollen, but her eyes were also a little bloodshot. She stared straight at Ling Jing's face, her eyes firm and a little gloomy. Ling Jing didn't say anything. He just stared at Su Peijian. She also stubbornly looked back at him. There seemed to be countless sparks in the air. Ling Jing suddenly flared up at this moment. "All of you get out." Su Peijian stood still. The others didn't understand what was going on. Only the ancient cultivator standing on the side understood. With a glance, the two women on the side stood up reluctantly and then went outside. The bodyguards on both sides stepped back and left together. Only Su Peijian stood there without moving. She stared at Ling Jing. When she heard the sound of the door closing behind her, she asked again very calmly, "Young Master Ling, is it okay now? Can you let her go now?" The alcohol began to erode Su Peijian's will. She wasn't bad at drinking, but she had never drunk a bottle of vodka in one breath like this. She even felt a little weak in her legs. It was her strong willpower that she could stand here with her body straight. Ling Jing stood up, walked around the coffee table, and walked step by step to Su Peijian. Finally, he stood in front of her. He stared at Su Peijian's face. His almond-shaped eyes, which had always been evil, were now a little sinister. "Yes, of course you can. I, young Master Ling, always do what I say. If you want to let her go, I will let her go." Su Peijian didn't have time to breathe a sigh of relief. Ling Jing's next words made her stand there motionless. "I just said, forget about that gigolo. I didn't say that forget about what happened before." "What happened before?" Su Peijian was a little dizzy from the alcohol. "What do you mean, young Master Ling?" "It's between you and me, of course." Ling Jing reached out and lifted Su Peijian's chin. He stared straight at her face. "Think about it. I am the dignified young master of the Ling family, but you treat me as a gigolo. I've been with you for so long. What? Do you really think I can let go?" Su Peijian took a deep breath. She stared at Ling Jing. "What do you want, young Master Ling?" "What do I want? You did something wrong. Of course, you have to be taught a lesson, right?" Su Peijian stood still and looked at Ling Jing coldly. Suddenly, she smiled. "Yes, you are the dignified young master of the Ling family. I, Su Peijian, wronged you to be my gigolo. Speaking of which, it is indeed my fault. I just don't know how young Master Ling plans to teach me a lesson." There was a piercing pain in her heart again, but it was only for a moment. At this time, Su Peijian was very calm. She was so calm that even the alcohol didn't have any effect on her. Ling Jing pinched her chin and looked at her delicate face. Finally, he opened his thin lips and said, "It's simple. You will stay with me for as long as I have been with you. But this time, we will do the opposite. You will be the one being kept by me. How about that?" Su Peijian's expression changed. She felt her face turn pale at Ling Jing's direct and violent humiliation. She kept adjusting her breathing and tried her best to suppress the pounding of her heart. Finally, she put away the smile on her face and looked at Ling Jing mockingly. "Young Master Ling wants to keep me? You can't." "Yes, of course you can." Su Peijian smiled faintly. Her expression was extremely mocking. "Didn't young Master Ling say that I am a prisoner under labor reform? Doesn't young Master Ling think that it is beneath your status to keep a prisoner under labor reform like me?" The air conditioning in the private room was very low, but it couldn't be lower than the temperature in Su Peijian's heart. She was very angry. So angry that if there was a knife in front of her, she would stab it into Ling Jing's body without hesitation. But strangely, perhaps because of the alcohol, she actually restrained herself. She was only using this extremely self-deprecating method to make the wound that was already very deeper, a little deeper. Ling Jing seemed to not feel her gaze at all. He moved his face closer to her. The distance between the two of them was less than 10 centimeters. He was close to her face. There was a faint smell of alcohol in the air. She didn't know whether it was from her or him. "It is indeed beneath my status, but what should I do? I haven't had enough fun with you. A prisoner under labor reform. Think about it. I've played with so many women, but only one like you is lacking. At first, you were the daughter of a rich family, and then you became a prisoner under labor reform. TSK, thinking about it, it's really quite exciting. So I want to continue playing. Can I?" The insulting tone, the flirtatious expression, and the evil look in his eyes were blatantly provocative. Su Peijian swatted his hand away and took a big step back. Ling Jing, don't go too far. I like going too far, can't I? He moved closer to Su Peijian again and pinched her chin. Then do you want it or not? Su Peijian gritted her teeth. Her little face, which was flushed because of the alcohol, was now frighteningly pale. She had never drunk like this before. It made her whole body feel uncomfortable. But she couldn't leave. She could think calmly. But the alcohol made her consciousness somewhat unable to keep up, and her reaction was just a beat slower. Ling Jing. She forcefully swatted his hand away. She raised her face and looked at Ling Jing stubbornly. I refuse. Refuse? Ling Jing suddenly laughed. Do you think you can refuse? He raised his hand and pointed in the direction of the big screen. Do you believe that even if I kill him today, nothing will happen to me tomorrow? Believe? Of course she believed. Su Peijian had long seen that Ling Jing had this ability. Su Peijian clenched her fists, and that hand began to pinch her heart again. She stood there motionless, letting her heart be squeezed out of shape by that hand, broken, and never put back together again. In front of her, Ling Jing's face was magnified in front of her. He seemed to have become a monster that could devour her. She didn't know if it was the effect of alcohol or something else, but she only felt that her consciousness was getting more and more dizzy. She took a step back, but her feet went soft and her body couldn't stand. What? You don't believe me? Ling Jing stepped forward and pulled her body up. Do you want to try? Su Peijian was pulled by him, and her body crashed into his arms. The discomfort that she had been suppressing finally couldn't be restrained anymore. She tilted her head, tilted her body, and directly vomited on Ling Jing's body. The pungent and unpleasant smell was mixed with the very choking smell of alcohol. Ling Jing's face turned green. Su Peijian was really uncomfortable. Drinking strong alcohol was bad for the body, and drinking fast was even more so. Not only did she vomit once, but she also continued to vomit a second time. Her footsteps were unsteady. She didn't want to fall, so she reached out and grabbed Ling Jing's arm and vomited again. Ling Jing's clothes were already out of shape. The smell was unpleasant, and the vomit was dirty. His face changed. He was sure that this woman did it on purpose. Chapter 868. Damned woman, she was really courting death. He reached out to pull Su Peijian away, but her legs gave way and she fell backward. There was a flash of panic in Ling Jing's eyes. Before he returned to his senses, his body reacted quickly and supported her. Su Peijian, who was touched by him, had a face full of resistance. She waved her hand and wanted to push Ling Jing away. Let me go. It was just that she was too weak and Ling Jing was too strong. Before she lost consciousness, all she could feel was Ling Jing's embrace. His chest was still warm, but it could no longer warm her heart. What it brought her was only a stretch of coldness. When Su Peijian woke up, she only felt a splitting headache. It took her a long time to really wake up. He opened his eyes and placed his hand on his forehead. The headache was getting more and more obvious. Looking at the environment in front of her, for a moment, she thought that she had returned to her home in Lin City. The room was very big, and the bed under her was very soft. It was all handmade Italian furniture. She frowned and didn't know where she was for a moment. Some fragments came to her mind intermittently, and she suddenly remembered what happened before she fainted. Ling Jing. She never thought that one day, when he recovered his identity, he would be so ruthless and resolute. Looking around, she could roughly guess where she was at the moment. Thinking that she was in Ling Jing's place, she couldn't stay any longer. She got up and realized that her clothes were gone, leaving only her underwear. This surprised her again, but it was only for a moment. She was still clear that her body didn't feel like that. Ignoring her current appearance, she got out of bed. She walked to the wardrobe and stood still. She found that the wardrobe was full of men's clothes. Every one of them was handmade and of excellent workmanship. Looking at the clothes on the wardrobe, Su Peijian smiled. Yes, she should have discovered it when they first met. Ling Jing's clothes were all extraordinary. Although he was covered in blood, it couldn't hide his temperament. Su Peijian closed her eyes and mocked in her heart that she was indeed blind. If she wasn't blind, she would have seen it long ago. Although Ling Jing was sloppy and looked very improper most of the time. But how could his every movement be that of a hooligan? He was blind, so who could he blame for the backlash? Shaking her head to get rid of those useless thoughts, she picked out a shirt and put it on. Ling Jing's pants were too big for her. After some thought, she watched him take out a knitted polo shirt from his closet. He put on his waist from the bottom and tied it in a knot with his sleeve. It turned into a somewhat different kind of dress. Looking at himself in the mirror, he felt that it would be fine to go out like this. He turned around and left the room. There was no one in the corridor. Su Peijian stood there and looked at the long corridor on both sides. Finally, she walked in the direction of the stairs. It was such a big villa, but there seemed to be no one there. Su Peijian stepped on the thick carpet. When she reached the stairs, she happened to see Ling Jing walking upstairs. He stood in the middle of the spiral staircase and narrowed his eyes at the sight of her clothes. The white shirt was obviously a little too big for her, and she just had to use a black dress as a skirt. This outfit was extremely unconventional, but because the person wearing it was her, it made her look a little more casual. This woman, no matter when, had the capital to seduce men. Up the stairs, Ling Jing's eyes were locked on Su Peijian, and he didn't look away for a moment. Su Peijian stood straight. Even though she was wearing Ling Jing's clothes, it still couldn't hide her imposing manner. Their eyes met in the air. Su Peijian's expression didn't change, but Ling Jing narrowed his eyes. He had seen Su Peijian in disheveled clothes. He had never seen Su Peijian in men's clothes. The higher he went, the more he could see her body under the shirt. Just the thought of his shirt on her body was enough to drive him crazy. He finally reached the top of the stairs and stood opposite Su Peijian. His eyes were locked on Su Peijian's face. The distance between the two of them was less than 10 centimeters. Su Peijian glanced at him. After he came up, she turned around and walked downstairs. Before she could take a step, her arm was grabbed by someone. She turned around and looked at Ling Jing's face coldly. He pulled her into his arms, lowered his head, and kissed her lips hard. She struggled, but her hands were restrained by Ling Jing. She was wearing his shirt, which made him want to tear her shirt. The imaginary scene lingered in his mind, and his kiss became more and more domineering. Su Peijian couldn't break free. Her lips were ravaged by him. She opened her mouth and bit him when he thought she wanted to kiss him. Ling Jing's lips hurt, but it stimulated the blood in his body. He carried her in his arms and went in the direction of the room. Su Peijian struggled again. She wanted to leave him, but he held her tightly. There was a natural gap between the strength of a man and a woman. She was no match for him. Her body was thrown on the bed somewhat rudely. After bouncing twice, she was suppressed again before she could get up. The moment he approached, Su Peijian turned her face away. Ling Jing, this is rape. I can sue you. Sue me? Ling Jing sneered. Okay, do you want to try? As he spoke, he put his hand on the back of her waist. I've never seen a rapist who can make the victim orgasm. Shameless. Su Peijian gritted her teeth. Ling Jing's hand turned to her chest, and with a force, the high-quality shirt she was wearing was torn. Her clothes were half exposed, and Su Peijian struggled even more. Ling Jing, you bastard. But who was Ling Jing? She didn't want to admit defeat, and she couldn't admit defeat. Su Peijian gritted her teeth and forced herself to ignore her body's reaction. The more she did so, the more Ling Jing didn't want her to get what she wanted. The two of them had been together for half a year, and their bodies were very familiar. Even if they were separated, the memory of their bodies was still there. He clearly knew every sensitive spot on her body. He clearly knew her every reaction when he moved. It was as if they had returned to the beginning. He wanted to conquer, and she only wanted to counterattack. Every touch, every kiss was on the point. Every time she resisted, every time she tried to escape, it could only be exchanged for more crazy attacks from him. Her polo shirt was soon torn, her shoes fell to the ground, and her body was firmly nailed under him. Woman, Ling Jing bit her lips and said in a slightly hoarse voice, I will let you know that this is not called rape, but rape. The morning sun shone into the room. It was a new day, and his plunder had just begun. Chapter 869. When Ling Jing left Su Peijian's body, he felt that the gloom of this period of time had dissipated. He sat up quite refreshed. When he was about to leave, Su Peijian, who had been lying motionless on the bed, suddenly sat up. With a slap, he was slapped in the face. Su Peijian, with another slap, the other side of his face was also slapped. Ling Jing's face turned green, and he instinctively raised his hand. Su Peijian raised her head and looked at him fearlessly. Ling Jing put down his hand hatefully and pinched her chin. "Are you looking for death?" "Yes, I'm looking for death." "Do you want to kill me?" Su Peijian's breathing was a little unstable. She really wanted to know if Ling Jing would really kill her just because she was blind for a moment. "Do you think I don't dare?" "You dare, of course you dare. What else is there that you don't dare to do?" Su Peijian was furious. The shameless Ling Jing was simply hateful. Taking advantage of the innate gap between men and women, not only did he do whatever he wanted to her, but also, thinking of the entanglement between the two of them before, her face turned red. Not because she was shy, but because she was angry. She pushed Ling Jing away and got out of bed just like that. But this time, even her underwear was destroyed by him. There were no clothes in the room. She gritted her teeth, and her heart was almost bleeding. Walking to the wardrobe, she planned to pick 2 new clothes and leave at will. However, Ling Jing walked behind her and turned her body around. "Want to leave? Do you think I'll allow it?" "Ling Jing, have you had enough fun?" Su Peijian's eyes darkened, and there was obvious anger in them. "I have nothing to do with you now. Why don't you let me go?" "Enough?" "Of course not." Ling Jing pinched her chin and enjoyed the anger in her eyes. A beauty was a beauty. Even when she was angry, she had her own style. "Didn't I say it? You treat me, young Master Ling, as a toy boy. No matter what, you have to let me get back at you, right? Ling Jing, is it interesting for you to do this?" Su Peijian really hated that she didn't have a knife in her hand. Otherwise, she would have stabbed Ling Jing's body without hesitation. "Why not? I think it's very interesting." Ling Jing gently picked up her chin. "The previous account, plus these 2 slaps. Do you think I want to get back 2 cities?" Su Peijian wasn't angered by Ling Jing. She calmed down immediately after a short moment of anger. If she was angry, it would be what he wanted. She wouldn't allow it. "What if I refuse? Don't tell me you want to lock me up like this. There's no reason not to." Ling Jing spread out her hands indifferently. "Do you think you can leave if I don't let go?" "Ling Jing, this is illegal imprisonment. If you say so, then so be it. Do you want to call the police?" Ling Jing took out her phone and handed it to Su Peijian. "Make a call. Press 11 to 0. Let's see if the police can get you out." "Shameless. Ling Jing, how dare you? I said you can try. See if I dare or not." Ling Jing chuckled and looked at the slight anger on Su Peijian's face. He only found it interesting. Very interesting. He really couldn't wait to know how Su Peijian planned to leave this place. Su Peijian didn't expect Ling Jing to do what he said. Her bag had been taken away by him a long time ago. There was no cell phone, no way to contact the outside world. Not only that, Ling Jing didn't even give her clothes to wear. She found a bathrobe in the bathroom and put it on. But she couldn't leave just like that. What's more, there were people guarding outside the room. If the people guarding didn't let her go, she couldn't leave at all. 3 days, a whole 3 days. No matter what Su Peijian did, she couldn't get the people guarding the door to let her go. If Ling Jing came back, the people guarding the door would leave. But with Ling Jing there, it was impossible for her to leave. 3 meals were sent to the room, and magazines and books were sent to her to read. The only thing was that she couldn't leave. On the 3rd day, Su Peijian felt that she was about to lose all her patience. She refused to eat. When she saw Ling Jing enter the door in a formal suit, she finally couldn't control her anger and rushed in front of Ling Jing. "Ling Jing, what do you want? Didn't I say? I want to keep you." "Are you keeping me? You're imprisoning me." Su Peijian raised her hand and was about to slap Ling Jing, but he grabbed her hand. She wanted to pull her hand back, but she couldn't. "Ling Jing, are you going to let me go or not?" "Almost it's the same thing." Ling Jing spread his hands. "It's not impossible for me to let you go. But will you come back here obediently? In your dreams. Su Peijian didn't expect Ling Jing to be so shameless. She thought that he should have had enough fun with the previous farce. If that's the case, then there's nothing to talk about. Ling Jing raised his eyebrows rather shamelessly, looking as if he couldn't do anything to her. Su Peijian nodded angrily. Okay, I promise you. Can you let me go now? No. Ling Jing seemed to know what she was thinking. If you want to leave, you can. Sign a contract with me first. As long as you sign it, I promise to let you go immediately. What contract? What contract? Of course it's a keeping agreement. You won't forget what you did to me back then, right? Su Peijian clenched her fists. She finally understood that Ling Jing would seek revenge for the smallest grievance. He would do what she had done to him before. Okay, sign a contract, right? Give it to me. I'll sign it. When Su Peijian finished this sentence, she felt as if something was pressing on her heart. But I have to have a deadline, right? After all, when I kept you, I didn't say that I would keep you for a lifetime. Half a year. Ling Jing smiled. Just half a year. I told you. I'm just doing what you've done to me to you. Half a year? Su Peijian felt her heart tighten. Finally, she suddenly smiled. Okay, half a year it is. Having a deadline was better than not having a deadline. She agreed, and Ling Jing was satisfied. She clapped her hands and called Gu Xiu to prepare the contract. Su Peijian watched Gu Xiu come and go, then looked at the bathrobe on her body. Now, can you return my clothes and bag to me? Of course. Ling Jing nodded. But forget about the clothes. That day, you vomited all over me. It was an eyesore, so I threw that set of clothes away. He gave an order, and soon someone brought the clothes. They were hung on the rack. From the inside to the outside, everything was available. There were all the latest models of several big brands. Su Peijian took a deep breath and put on a random set of clothes, not caring whether Ling Jing was beside her or not. If she wanted to see it, she would have seen it all long ago. There was no need to be reserved at this time. Ling Jing liked Su Peijian's magnanimity. However, when he thought of the photos he had received before, his face darkened. He didn't know how many men she had slept with to train her magnanimity. He suddenly gritted his teeth and buckled Su Peijian, who had already put on the clothes, into his arms without thinking. He lowered his head and gave her a very simple and rough kiss. Su Peijian didn't know why he suddenly went crazy and couldn't help but struggle. Ling Jing still wanted to pull her clothes. Su Peijian didn't expect him to be like this. He could go in a heat almost any time and anywhere. For a moment, she was extremely angry. She had clearly agreed to sign the contract, but she still didn't want to be treated like a prostitute by Ling Jing. She raised her foot and was about to kick Ling Jing's crotch. Someone knocked on the door of the room, and Ling Jing stopped for a moment. He heard Gu Xiu's head at the door of the room behind him lowered so tightly that it was almost buried in his chest. Young master, what's the matter? There's a guest. Guest? What guest? I don't want to see him. The guest has come in and said he wants to see you. Are Ming and his people doing nothing? Stop him. No, this guest has a special identity. I don't dare to stop him. Gu Xiu's words made Ling Jing look in his direction. Gu Xiu looked at him and then looked at Su Peijian. Ling Jing roughly understood. He slightly frowned, let go of Su Peijian, and walked downstairs. Downstairs, Su Qingsang came to the door with at least 20 police officers. She walked in front of the police officers with a cold expression. When Ling Jing went downstairs, he saw Su Qingsang standing in front of the 20 police officers at a glance. He slightly narrowed his eyes. Instead of pretending not to know Su Qingsang, he took a few steps forward. Mrs. Huo, what are you doing? Su Qingsang glanced at Ling Jing coldly. She had an impression of this Ling Jing. She had seen him once in a hospital. Later, when she heard that Su Peijian had broken up with her boyfriend, she thought it was just an ordinary man. Unexpectedly, it was the young master of the Ling family. Young Master Ling, you're too polite. I heard that my sister is here. I'm here to take her away today. He used the word heard, but his attitude was extremely firm. They both knew that Su Qingsang had done her homework. Your sister? Ling Jing raised his eyebrows. But your sister stayed here voluntarily. Mrs. Hua, it doesn't seem appropriate for you to make such a big scene, does it? Whether it's appropriate or not, I don't care for the time being. As long as young Master Ling hands over my sister, I won't disturb you. You can take them away immediately. Mrs. Hua's words are interesting. I've already said that your sister stayed willingly. How did it become that I forced her to stay? Whether it is or not, won't you know when my sister comes down? Ling Jing's expression was a little ugly. The Ling family was powerful, but they really didn't want to have a conflict with the people of the legal world. Su Qingsang had come with such a big scene. He had already discussed it with Su Peijian. Wouldn't this change again? What? Does young Master Ling want someone to go up and search? Mrs. Hua, even if you're the wife of the CEO of Tianyu Group, I don't think you have the right to search my house, do you? I don't have the right. Su Peijian took a step to the side. But they do. As soon as she stepped back, the policeman standing next to her took out a search warrant. Su Qingsang stood there with the corners of his mouth slightly raised. My sister has been missing for more than 24 hours. Since I suspect that she is here, I will naturally do my homework. So, please let her go, young Master Ling. Ling Jing's expression was very ugly. Gu Xiu next to him looked at him. Although they were not afraid of the police, it was very unwise to have a conflict with these people like this. If the ancient cultivators could figure it out, then Ling Jing could naturally figure out as well. He turned to look at Gu Xiu. Gu Xiu understood and went upstairs to call Su Peijian. Su Peijian was originally waiting for Ling Jing to bring the contract so that she could sign it and leave. For her, it was only half a year. What was the point? She would spend half a year with Ling Jing. Half a year would let her see Ling Jing clearly and completely give up on him. When the time was up, she could return to the proud and free Su Peijian. However, she didn't see Ling Jing come upstairs, but Gu Xiu came. She had seen this person many times in the past few days. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was Ling Jing's right-hand man. Miss Su, please go downstairs. Gu Xiu looked at Su Peijian. He really didn't expect that his young master would make such a big scene when he was in a relationship. Go downstairs. Su Peijian thought about it and agreed. After going downstairs to sign the contract, she could leave. At the thought of signing a contract with Ling Jing for half a year, she felt extremely ironic. Speaking of which, she used to be the eldest daughter of the Su family. In the future, she would be reduced to a mistress who could not see the light of day. What was this? Retribution? However, Su Peijian didn't expect that when she went downstairs, she would see a group of police officers and Su Qingsang. You? Her lips moved, and she wanted to say something. Su Qingsang gave her a look, walked in front of her, and squeezed her hand. Mom was very worried about you. It's good that you're fine. Without saying anything else, Su Qingsang brought her to her side. You go with these police officers first. I still have a few words to say to Mr. Ling. Su Qingsang's appearance surprised Su Peijian. She didn't expect Su Qingsang to come. She wanted to say something, but when she received Su Qingsang's gaze, she left with the police without looking back. Ling Jing had been staring at Su Peijian's face. He didn't expect that woman to be so heartless. She was so heartless that she didn't even look at him. There seemed to be a fire burning in his heart, burning so much that he wanted to kill again. However, before the fire burned, Su Qingsang had already walked in front of him. The police had already taken Su Peijian out. Su Qingsang had no scruples. She raised her hand and slapped Ling Jing's face. Ling Jing froze for a moment and immediately glared at Su Qingsang. You, young Master Ling, right? Su Qingsang looked at Ling Jing, not afraid of his cold eyes at all. I have other things to do today, but I want to say something to young Master Ling. The girls of our Su family can't be bullied by anyone. Mrs. Hua, what do you mean? Nothing. Su Qingsang retracted her hand and gently patted it. The internal conflicts of our family are our own private affairs, but young Master Ling bullied our children like this. Isn't he looking down on our Su family? She stared at Ling Jing, her eyes full of coldness. That's right. Our Su family may not have any power in Rong City, and our main development is in Lin City. But the children of our Su family can't be bullied by anyone. Young Master Ling, we'll see. Mrs. Hua, are you trying to use your power to oppress people? I don't dare. Su Qingsang smiled, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. I don't have power. Although I'm not talented, my husband has some ability. Your Ling family is powerful, but our Hua family is not afraid of trouble. Mrs. Hua, do you want the Hua family to go against the Ling family? Whether it's right or wrong depends on young Master Ling. I'm a medical student, and I like to be direct. I just have one thing to say. Next time, please stay away from our Parisian, young Master Ling. She's not someone you can touch. Ling Jing gritted her teeth and nodded. What if I insist? Then you could try, young Master Ling. What will the result be if you go against the Hua family and the Su family? Young Master Ling, please believe me. Based on my husband's feelings for me, I can still do such a small thing. She had always been low-key and didn't like to bully others. But the feeling of bullying others occasionally wasn't bad. Ling Jing's expression was very ugly. Su Qing-sang didn't want to pay attention to him at all. She turned around and left. As soon as she went out, Ling Jing got angry and swept all the things on the coffee table to the ground. Gu Xiao and a dozen subordinates standing beside him didn't even dare to breathe. Su Qing-sang didn't care how crazy Ling Jing was. She went out, and Su Peijian sat at her car. She didn't care about her and thanked the police first. If it weren't for the Hua family and the Ling family's power, she wouldn't have wanted to trouble these people. However, the Hua family usually had a good relationship with these people. Although those people were ordered by the higher-ups to run errands, there was really no big problem. Such a task was really simple. After the pleasantries, Su Qing-sang sent the police away and got into the car. Looking at Su Peijian, she took a thermos cup from the front of the car. Drink some flower tea. Su Peijian glanced at her and took the cup from her hand. It was still afternoon. She looked at the dazzling sunlight outside, and then at Su Qing-sang. How did you know I was here? You didn't contact your family for 3 days. Aunt Xiang was worried that something had happened to you. She wanted to go to the police, but she was afraid that there would be a misunderstanding, so she begged me. I asked Hua Jinyao's people to check, asked your company's secretary, and checked the surveillance cameras of the club that day. But the surveillance cameras were broken, and we couldn't see what happened 3 days ago. So I could only speculate from the owner of the club. Later, after checking several surveillance cameras outside, I found out that it was Ling Jing who took you away. Su Peijian's expression was a little bad. She held the thermos cup tightly, and when the flower tea went down her throat, she felt much better. Let's go. I'll take you home. Okay. Su Peijian didn't know what to say. She never thought that one day she would have to trouble Su Qing-sang to save her. Su Qing-sang started the car and heard Su Peijian speak very softly beside her. Actually, I already made him promise to let me go just now. Are you saying that I'm nosy? Su Qing-sang just focused on driving, and her expression didn't look slow at all. Thank you. Su Peijian didn't mean that. Su Qing-sang glanced at her. Back where? To Aunt Xiang's place? Yes. Su Qing-sang focused on driving and stopped talking. She sent Su Peijian to the door. Watching her get out of the car, she remembered. Don't feel burdened. Mom asked me to take care of you. After all, I'm your sister now. Su Peijian looked at her. Su Qing-sang smiled, turned around, started the car, and left. Su Peijian was left looking at the shadow of the car in the distance, and her expression was a little strange. Sister? It seemed like the feeling of having a sister wasn't too bad. Su Peijian's gloomy mood for the past few days was swept away. As for Ling Jing, she wouldn't give him another chance, and she believed that he wouldn't come again. Chapter 870. Su Peijian didn't know what Su Qing-sang said to Ling Jing that day. After that day, she never saw Ling Jing again. She comforted Xiang Kaiping and told her that she just wanted to stay with a friend for a few days and forgot to contact her. Although Xiang Kaiping didn't believe her, she was happy that she could come back safely. Xiang Kaiping didn't ask much of her. As long as she came home often and was safe, everything else was fine. However, she was still worried about her. Su Peijian's new duplex had just been renovated. Xiang Kaiping thought about it and decided to move to the duplex with Su Peijian. In fact, she also thought that the villa was too big for her to live alone. However, she had made some money and had nowhere to spend it. So she bought a villa. There were a lot of things to prepare for moving. Xiang Kaiping was busy, and she was in a much better state of mind. Su Peijian watched her busy and started to get busy herself. She felt a little sorry for Lin Feixing. She specially asked him out to apologize to him. After all, if it weren't for her, he wouldn't have been bullied by Ling Jing. However, she didn't expect that Lin Feixing didn't seem to know why he was bullied that day. He didn't wait for her to find him. He came to her first. "I'm sorry." Lin Feixing apologized to Su Peijian as soon as he saw her. Su Peijian was confused by this. "I had dinner with you that day, but I got into a conflict with someone and was locked up for a few days." Lin Feixing also felt that he was really unlucky. "I don't know who the other party is. They locked me up for a few days before letting me go. I wanted to call the police, but I didn't even know who the other party was." He scratched his head. It was the first time for Lin Feixing to be so embarrassed in front of the woman he liked. "I'm really sorry. Have you been worried sick these past few days?" Su Peijian couldn't say anything she wanted to apologize. She could only smile faintly and finally twitch the corner of her mouth. "It's okay. I'm just a little worried about you." "I'm sorry." Lin Feixing smiled and brought up another matter. "We didn't have dinner last time. To apologize, let's make an appointment again and let me make it up to you." "How about that?" "No need." Su Peijian couldn't say that he got into trouble because of her. "I should be the one treating you. I'm just trying to calm you down." "Sure." Lin Feixing smiled. "That's cheaper for me." Lin Feixing was just like that. You would never feel uncomfortable when you were around him. Su Peijian smiled. She set a time with him and went back to work. She took 2 calls from Hui Yifan, but she ignored them and hung up. In the end, Hui Yifan stopped calling. This time, Su Peijian purposely picked a revolving restaurant on the top floor of a 5-star hotel to treat Lin Feixing to dinner. She had asked around. This was the property of Huo Jinyao, Tang Mohan's family. It had nothing to do with Ling Jing. She believed that Ling Jing would not disturb her again, but she had to take precautions. In the future, she would avoid Ling Jing's family's business if she could. The hotel was on the top floor, overlooking most of Rome City. Su Peijian arrived early. When she arrived, a waiter came over and led her to the seat she had reserved in advance. Her seat was next to the display window. She glanced out of the window. As night fell, the neon lights began to shine. While he was enjoying the beautiful scenery, Lin Feixing arrived. He was dressed very formally today. He was wearing a white suit, which made him look clean and neat. He looked a little like a Prince Charming. She couldn't help but think of another man who was also wearing a white suit. That image made her expression change slightly for a moment. She retracted her gaze and took the initiative to stand up. "I'm late." Lin Feixing was a little apologetic. "Did you wait long?" "No, I just arrived." "Have a seat." After ordering, Lin Feixing looked at Su Peijian. "Peijian?" "Yes. I actually wanted to ask, did you break up with that person?" He didn't say who, but Su Peijian immediately understood what he meant. She looked down and thought of the scene where Ling Jing arrogantly said that he wanted to provide for her. Suddenly, she smiled. She looked up at Lin Feixing with a calm and natural gaze. "You want to ask if I broke up? Am I single now?" Lin Feixing was relieved. He had a lot of women chasing after him outside, but he didn't know why he liked Su Peijian. Su Peijian's attitude made him relax a little. "Yes, I want to ask you, if I'm single now, I might be able to pursue you again." Su Peijian was silent for a while and looked up at Lin Feixing. "I'm sorry to disappoint you." "It's okay." Lin Feixing didn't seem surprised at all. "I was rude. I'm single, but I don't plan to start a new relationship for the time being." The incident with Ling Jing had hurt her. She probably wouldn't have the strength to love anyone in a short period of time. She needed time to forget Ling Jing and to let go. "Understood." Lin Feixing looked at the gloomy expression on her face and said very carefully, "Then can I queue up first? That way, I can fight for a chance for myself." "You don't have to." Su Peijian shook her head. "It's not fair to use you to forget another man." "What if I don't mind?" "I mind." She didn't like to owe people. She had always been proud, so naturally, she wouldn't allow herself to do such a thing. "Then I have no hope at all, right?" Lin Feixing joked. He didn't look like he took it to heart, but in fact, he was still a little disappointed. "I can only promise you that if there's a chance, I'll definitely let you jump the queue first. How about that? Lin Feixing smiled and raised the glass in front of him. In that case, I'll reserve it. She really didn't feel any burden to be with someone like Lin Feixing. Su Peijian looked at him and thought more than once that if she fell in love with Lin Feixing, she would probably be much happier. However, in this world there were no ifs. After this date, she and Lin Feixing were back to being friends. Su Qinghui's company was still working with Lin Feixing's company. As Su Qinghui's representative, she couldn't avoid meeting Lin Feixing. The few times they met after that were all in the company. However, after the final execution of a case and the lawsuit, Lin Feixing proposed to treat her and the people from his company to dinner, and she agreed. After all, she wasn't alone. However, this company referred to the team that Su Qinghui left in Rome City. They were the core members. There weren't many people, only a dozen or so. Lin Feixing booked a large private room in the hotel and asked Su Peijian to bring them there when the time came. Su Peijian agreed and brought the group of people to the place Lin Feixing mentioned. They all arrived, but Lin Feixing didn't. He was stuck in a traffic jam and was quite far away, so he arrived a little late. Su Peijian's phone just happened to ring. She got up and went outside to answer the call. Coincidentally, she bumped into Lin Feixing, who was rushing over. She walked very fast and bumped into Lin Feixing's arms. Sorry. She moved away from Lin Feixing's arms and smiled at him awkwardly. She gestured for Lin Feixing to enter the private room first. Aren't you going in? No, I have to take a call first. Su Peijian's phone was still ringing. Lin Feixing nodded and entered the private room. After he left, Su Peijian was about to answer the call when she saw Hui Yifan walking toward her. Seeing him, Su Peijian took her phone and walked to the other side of the corridor without thinking. Little did she know that Hui Yifan would quickly follow her. Hui Yifan blocked Su Peijian at the end of the corridor. His action made Su Peijian hang up the phone. She crossed her arms and looked at Hui Yifan coldly. What's the matter? Why can't I call you only if I have something to say? Can't we be old lovers, catching up? I have nothing to talk about with you. Su Peijian looked at him coldly. Please get out of my way. You're quite capable. Hui Yifan thought about the scene he just saw of Su Peijian hugging another man. You dump one after another. I don't know what you're talking about. Su Peijian felt very speechless that she actually thought of cooperating with Hui Yifan. If she had known that Hui Yifan was such a sore loser, she would never have cooperated with such a person. You don't know what I'm talking about? What about that Ling Jing from before? Didn't you guys live together? Why aren't you together anymore? Su Peijian suddenly narrowed her eyes and stared at Hui Yifan. What Ling Jing? What do you know? I know a lot. Hui Yifan smiled. Not only do I know that Ling Jing is the young master of the Ling family, but I also know that he dumped you, don't I? Hui Yifan. She didn't even know that Ling Jing was the young master of the Ling family. How did Hui Yifan know? I was wondering why you didn't get back together with me. It turns out that you hooked up with the young master of the Ling family. But what a pity. So what if you hooked up with him? Didn't he still dump you? Does it have anything to do with you? Or does young master Hui think that I'm going to jump into your arms because I've been dumped? Of course it has something to do with me. Although I know that you can't jump into my arms, I can't let you be too proud, can I? Su Peijian could hear something wrong from Hui Yifan's words. What did you do? What did I do? Hui Yifan smiled. Actually, I didn't do anything. I just changed some of the photos we took together in the past and photoshopped a few photos to send to Ling Jing. Seeing Su Peijian's slightly changed expression, the smile on his face became more and more proud. I thought you had a good eye. You could find a good man after you kicked me, but what happened in the end? It was just a few photoshopped photos, just a few provocative words, just 2 videos, and he dumped you. I think that young Master Ling is nothing more than this. Su Peijian was very smart. Hui Yifan's words immediately reminded her of the scene when Ling Jing and his mother appeared in her apartment that day. At that time, when Ling Jing saw her, his first reaction was obviously guilt, embarrassment, and confusion, but then his expression changed. She was too sad at that time and didn't notice the change in Ling Jing's attitude. Chapter 871. Thinking of Ling Jing that day, a trace of heartache welled up in her heart again. She suppressed the trace of pain. She knew that as time passed, she would become more and more accustomed to that kind of pain, and it would become fainter and fainter. She couldn't say how she felt, but Su Peijian was naturally not afraid of Hui Yifan. Her voice was very vicious as she sneered. Young Master Ling is nothing, and you, young Master Hua, are even less so. Yes, Ling Jing is a bastard. He has no brains and casually believed a few photoshopped photos. But who do you think you are, Hui Yifan? Hui Yifan's frozen face, she smiled lightly. What's the difference between you and Ling Jing? There's no difference. If you can't have it, you will destroy it. You can even do something like having sex. If old Master Hua knew that his grandson still did such things after being released from prison, I'm afraid he want to send you back to prison, right? I what? Am I wrong? Su Peijian raised her eyebrows, and her beautiful eyes were full of coldness. The Hua family's upbringing is for you to threaten a woman? Is it for you to Photoshop a woman's sex? The Hua family is really good at upbringing. Su Peijian, do you want to die? Hui Yifan was furious and raised his hand to grab Su Peijian. She took a step back. Hui Yifan, if I were you, I would never do it. Maybe you should go and find out what Su Qingsang did a few days ago. She's my sister. You know that she's not only the young mistress of the Hua family, but also the wife of the CEO of Tianyu Group. By the way, she also gave birth to a pair of very cute twins for the Hua family. Old Master Hua treats her like his own granddaughter. Are you sure you want to offend her for me? Who didn't know how to bully others? She used to be good at it. Now that he was using Su Qingsang's identity, he believed that she wouldn't mind. Hui Yifan narrowed his eyes, his hand hanging in the air without moving. Hui Yifan, for the sake of our acquaintance, let me give you a piece of advice. If I were you, I would tuck my tail between my legs and keep a low profile. Perhaps your old man will take pity on you, and you might even get some other opportunities. As for me, you don't have to provoke me. After all, even if I'm not the daughter of the Li family, as long as I'm Su Qingsang's sister, you can't touch me. Unless you really want to go back to prison. You know that Hui Jinyao has that ability. Hui Yifan's expression was very ugly. Su Peijian looked at him coldly. She was not in the mood to stay any longer, nor was she in the mood to make another call. He turned around and went back to the private room without looking back. Damn it! After her figure disappeared, Hui Yifan kicked the wall angrily. Be*TCH, you better pray that you don't fall into my hands in this lifetime. Otherwise, I'll make you wish you were dead. Just as he finished speaking, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. The newcomer was tall and somewhat thin. A dangerous glint flickered in her beautiful almond-shaped eyes. Hui Yifan suddenly froze. You are... A heavy and fast punch landed on his face. His body was knocked to the side. He thought that this was the end, but unexpectedly, the other party's fist came even more fiercely. Hui Yifan was no match for him at all. Ling Jing's life had been a bit rough recently. First of all, he was scolded by his own father. The reason was that Hui Jinyao had people secretly and openly suppressed the Ling family's business. The Ling family had power, so did the Hua family. Not to mention that the Hua family had power in both the military and the underworld. Hui Jinyao didn't need to do much. He just made a few reports and let people say that the Ling family's businesses were dirty. That was enough. After that, the police would go to the Ling family's businesses from time to time to conduct temporary inspections. Although they couldn't find anything, it more or less affected the business. This made the old man very angry. He called him back to the old house and scolded him, asking him why he had to provoke the Hua family. He let the matter go. It wasn't difficult to solve. After all, the Ling family still had the Ling family's power. Those people didn't dare to go too far even if they caused a few trouble. However, there was another matter that made him feel unhappy. Something happened to the Ling family. He naturally had to step in and solve it. After it was solved, the Hua family finally quieted down. When he was free, he found something that made him very depressed. It had been nearly 6 months since Su Peijian stepped out of his villa. More than 6 months. It took less than a month to solve the Ling family's problem. When everything calmed down and he wanted to resume his life as the young master of the Ling family, he realized that he couldn't arouse any interest in the women sent by others. It didn't matter if they were pretty and adorable, or youthful and bright, or if they were charming, or if they were flirtatious. At first, he didn't think there was a problem, but after looking at them again, he found them boring. They were very boring. There was always a lack of taste in their eyes, and their manners were lacking elegance. If it was a lady from a wealthy family, he would feel a little bored. He didn't like the dignified ones, and he thought that the slutty ones were too slutty. He thought that the passionate ones were too proactive, and the cold ones were too pretentious. In 6 months, he had changed more than 20 women. However, none of them could arouse his interest. This made him very unhappy, and this kind of unhappiness had accumulated to the peak today. Today, he had an appointment with a foreign partner company to discuss the route cooperation. Not only did the company's president come, but he also brought a glamorous and exotic girl. The girl seemed to be interested in him. As soon as she came in, she not only winked at him, but also took the opportunity to put her hand on his leg. The meaning of flirting was very obvious. She had blonde hair, blue eyes, clear facial features, and was so enthusiastic and proactive. If it were in the past, he would have done it without any problem. However, today he actually felt tired. The other party's enthusiasm made him tired. The smell of the other party's perfume made him tired, and the other party's actions made him even more tired. He used the excuse of making a phone call to let Gu Xiu deal with a group of people, and he came out to get some fresh air. He asked someone to bring a pack of cigarettes over, and he stood in the bathroom at the end of the corridor to smoke. He was wondering what was wrong with him. Should he go for a physical examination? There was no need. He knew his own body very well, and his reaction every morning was normal. But why couldn't he get excited about those women? He thought that maybe those women were too inferior. They couldn't arouse his interest. Puffing out smoke rings, he felt bored. He was about to throw the cigarette back into the private room when he heard the sound of arguing in the corner of the corridor outside. Coincidentally, that female voice sounded very familiar to him. Su Peijian. Thinking of this woman, Ling Jing still had a toothache. That day, Su Qingsang slapped him in the face and warned him to stay away from Su Peijian. What was rare was that she was just a prisoner. She was just playing around. Who would take it seriously? Did they really think that he, young Master Ling, couldn't have Su Peijian? What a joke. Thinking this, Ling Jing unconsciously clenched his fists. That damned woman. She dumped him one moment, and then she was here with another man the next. She couldn't even get herself involved? It was simply despicable. Before he could go out to see what kind of man Su Peijian had her eyes on, Su Peijian's next conversation with that man made his body unable to move. Does it have anything to do with you? Or do you, young Master Hua, think that I'm going to jump into your arms because I've been dumped? Of course it has something to do with me. Although I know that you can't jump into my arms, I can't let you be too proud, can I? What did you do? What did I do? Actually, I didn't do anything. I just changed the photos we took together in the past, photoshopped a few photos, and sent them to Ling Jing. I thought that you had good taste. You could find a good man after you kicked me, but what happened in the end? It was just a few Photoshop photos, just a few provocative words, just 2 videos, and he dumped you. I think that young Master Ling is nothing more than this. Photoshopped? Ling Jing's temples throbbed. The cigarette had burned to the end, but he didn't notice it at all. He still remembered how he felt when he saw those photos and videos. Anger, resentment, rage, and the urge to destroy and kill. But those photos were photoshopped? He, Ling Jing, actually fell for such a trick? Such a simple and crude provocation without any technical content had succeeded in making him believe it. Not only did he believe it, but he really, Ling Jing, didn't have time to react, and Su Peijian's next words were like another slap on his face. Yes, Ling Jing is a bastard. He has no brains. He casually believed a few photoshopped photos. Damn that woman. Who gave her the right to say that about him? Who? However, the cigarette had burned to his fingertips, but Ling Jing didn't feel it. He just had an impulse to go out and take a look at Su Peijian. He wanted to rush out and explain to that woman, to ask her why she said that he had no brains. But thinking of his previous actions, Ling Jing's footsteps were frozen, and he couldn't move a step. Su Peijian said that he dumped her. Yes, she was the woman he dumped. But, Ling Jing, let's be together. Go and learn, and when you're done, you'll be able to learn. After you finish your studies, I will invest in a pastry bakery. I will let you be your own boss. I don't despise you. Ling Jing, people don't need to care about other people's opinions when they are alive. But this world has its own rules, and we can only work hard to live according to our own hearts. Ling Jing, I like you. Ling Jing, I want to give you a gift to celebrate your first day at work. Ling Jing. The cigarette at his fingertips fell to the ground, but Ling Jing didn't notice it at all. Many scenes from when the two of them lived together flashed through his mind. Su Peijian said a lot of things, and every expression she made when they were together. She wasn't a very patient person. She couldn't even be called a good woman in the traditional sense. But she really tolerated and liked him, even if he was just a pretty boy at that time. But he knew that Su Peijian's feelings for him were real. She used to plan his future very seriously. She used to think about the possibility of the two of them being together. She really liked him. Su Peijian. She really liked him. The kind of she liked very much. When she realized this, Ling Jing felt a sharp pain in her heart. If those photos were fake, then how hurtful would the words he said that day and the things he did later be? After he said those hurtful words that day, how sad would Su Peijian be? Didn't young Master Ling say that I'm a prisoner? Young Master Ling, don't you think it's beneath your status to keep a prisoner like me? That day, when Su Peijian mentioned the word prisoner, although her expression was sarcastic, there was a flash of pain in her eyes. At that time, he only felt carefree because he finally made Su Peijian beg him. But now, he only wanted to strangle himself. Yes, as the dignified young master of the Ling family, I, Su Peijian, wronged you to be my pretty boy. Speaking of which, it was indeed my fault. I just don't know how young Master Ling plans to teach me a lesson. Some things couldn't be thought about. The more he thought about it, the clearer it became. The more he thought about it, the clearer it became. The Ling Jing who always felt that he was unhappy in his heart. The Ling Jing who always felt that he was obsessed with Su Peijian because she was unwilling to be treated as a pretty boy by him. The Ling Jing who always thought that he was just giving her a taste of her own medicine and just wanted to teach Su Peijian a lesson. At this time, he was finally willing to face his own heart. It wasn't like that. It never was. It was really unhappy, unwilling, and he couldn't take it lying down. He had 10,000 ways to teach Su Peijian a lesson. Why did he insist on making her fall in love with him? Why did he always want to be entangled with her? Because she was the one and only Su Peijian. The Su Peijian who was especially attractive, especially charming, and especially different. And the woman he loved. Yes, Ling Jing was finally willing to admit it at this time. He fell in love with Su Peijian. He fell in love with the arrogant, delicate, indifferent, yet passionate, selfish, yet kind Su Peijian who had her own bottom line. Because he fell in love with Su Peijian, so the women after that could no longer enter his eyes. Because he fell in love with Su Peijian, so he had no interest in those women. Because he fell in love with Su Peijian, so he was so angry when he saw those photos. He didn't even distinguish whether they were real or fake. He was just jealous, so jealous that he wanted to kill. And because he fell in love with Su Peijian, even if he knew that she had more than one man, even if he knew that Su Peijian didn't want to have anything to do with him anymore, he still stubbornly wanted to create opportunities to give himself a chance with her. Because he loved her, the subconscious in his heart knew it clearly. So he tried his best to stay by that woman's side, or let her stay by his side. The impulse in his heart was more honest than he thought. But he didn't know that he had never loved anyone, never. His frivolity and cynicism had become a habit. He liked to control everything in his hands, whether it was things or people. But Su Peijian was never something he could control. She wasn't an ordinary woman. He didn't know this. He didn't understand. He didn't understand what his self-righteous decisions and actions had made him lose. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.